little salvation. Those flags you wave will represent them. The world is watching. Here's your judgment. Here's your reckoning. Write your story down into history. Proud country, you could have everything. So bring home the glory alive. Here's your judgment. Here's your reckoning. So go and bring home the glory. Those flags you wave will represent them. The world is watching. Here's your judgment. Here's your reckoning. Write your story down into history. Pride and country. You could have everything. So bring home the glory alive. Here's your judgment. Here's your reckoning. So go and bring home the glory alive. Here's your judgment. Here's your reckoning. Write your story down into history. Pride and country. You could have everything. So bring home the glory alive.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Meta Regionals, where we have the second half of the rounds where the teams are fighting for their spot for the MEO Grand Finals for the Meta Regional stage. My name is Ewan Midnight Reed and I am going to be joined by ADJ for the 5th, 6th and 7th round of the Meta Playoffs.
Very good to be here and very excited to cast these games as well. Melbourne up against, I believe it is Blakehurst High, Melbourne High against Blakehurst High. Interesting thing to note about these teams, from your recollection, they seem to be very team fight oriented teams, really like to settle it out in the open on each other rather than try and work around each other.
Exactly. I mean, we had these teams in the previous week. Melbourne High School showed off some just masterful team fighting. If you go back and watch those VODs, I believe it was the first game we got to witness them. There was so many just clutch team fights coming out one after the other. So beautiful team fight execution coming out of Melbourne High School. But on the other side of the wrist, Blakehurst representing New South Wales, they're no slouches in their own right. They've got quite a lot of aggressive players in their team, and more than anything, it's this idea of smash them in the laning phase and never let them recover. So it's going to be two very aggressive teams basically ramming headfirst into each other, And I think this first matchup of today is just going to be who bends first.
And that being said, there are a good amount of those solo lane carry champions that have more or less stepped into the spotlight, more so than as of late. Mainly being champions such as Kled or Aatrox, which, although the lack of the revive now on the Aatrox, he still has that innate healing on his ultimate as well as the help regen, which you can't entirely scoff at. But regardless, he's still very much a solo carry threat that can make or break the game for his team.
And I'm really excited to see what does make it, because again, the teams should be ready to rumble for the first game of today again. Blakehurst and Melbourne High School. And as we are getting into this, guys, I do want to make a little bit of a quick reminder about where everyone is placed. We have Victoria, New South Wales, South Australia / Northern Territory, Western Australia, and New Zealand still all in the running. Melbourne High School sitting at 3 wins, while Blakehurst are only sitting on 2. So if Blakehurst really want to take a crack at this final, they need to snag themselves a win here today in our first game. And they're aiming to do just that, banning away that Kindred that was so important in last week's matches.
Yeah, Kindred, another one of those solo carry style of champions, especially in that jungle scene. If a Kindred is able to get that slight level advantage, or even just item advantage, or even just a stack advantage, they can start to snowball out of control. Then, of course, you've also got Yasuo and Irelia, 2 heavy teamfight-oriented champions, as well as the Rakan getting banned away on the blue side.
And let's see where Blakehurst throws this final ban. I feel like they kind of need to start maybe looking at one of the solo laners, either Sherlock or Stasis. Very strong players if they're allowed to do whatever they want. And it is going to be the Cassiopeia, which we did briefly discuss off air. You were saying that Cassiopeia is one of these super strong champions right now.
Yep, Cassiopeia is definitely a top tier pick for one of the solo lanes, or even if you want to try a little bit of a risky maneuver with a mage in the bot lane, which of course has seen some kind of popularity recently. But it's mainly due to the mobility, anti-mobility changes that happened last patch in 9.14, which was also in addition to Ari and Poppy, as we are going to have no ban coming out from the red side. Not too sure about that one.
I think this is where they just didn't make the decision in time, and is that they are going to lose access to the Pike, instantly locked in there. More than likely going to go for Slug Dog, because I don't think solo lane Pike is a thing anymore. I don't think. I might be wrong on this.
Solo lane Pike can be an effective maneuver for a solo lane if you are looking to funnel gold or kills onto a carry jungle.
We'll have to see where they do end up taking it. I think that it's more than likely going to go for support. It is a potential answer for Yuumi, but it seems that unfortunately we may be having a few technical issues coming in. Unfortunately, we're not exactly sure what's going on. We'll have to inform you guys as we go, but I want to quickly just talk about the position that all these teams are in, because today is do or die for a lot of these teams. Melbourne High School, Rangitoto from New Zealand, and Blakehurst from New South Wales. All 3 of these teams, and actually, we can include Perth Modern School in that one. Sorry, I misread my notes. They're all sitting at 3 or 2 wins. So if they're able to grab all 3 wins today, they are putting themselves in such a good spot to be able to go to the Melbourne Esports Open Grand Final. But they need to keep winning, because of course there's not only just they need to get 2 wins, they also need to ensure that there will be tiebreakers later today. So if there is no clear winner and only the top 2 teams are allowed to advance. So my one worry is there the potential for stress or the players to worry a little bit, to start getting inside of their own head, which we know happens with a lot of people.
Yeah, there is definitely the potential for that, as it is also a best of 1, so it is a sort of do or die situation. As you said, they need the team comp that they choose to be that team comp that helps get them through. It needs to be a well thought out one, and it can't just be a spare of the moment kind of deal. It needs to be something that they can at least be sure about to help instill some kind of confidence in both themselves and the rest of their team.
And well, we are, of course, back into pick and ban after that. It appears that, unfortunately, Melbourne High School, one of their players' computers was having a little bit of a freak out. So we will get back into it, and I believe we will actually get that third ban because Sherlock's computer was unfortunately not being very kind to him at the time and decided, hey, I don't actually want to do this. You're on your own, buddy. So we'll see what that final ban is meant to be from Melbourne High School. Carrying away through this, but the pipe login is a little bit interesting to me because my first thought is, well, Siva Yumi is still available. Is that a potential, snag for bans and chat in the bottom lane? Because Siva Yumi is pretty intimidating as... Oh, boy.
Oh,
We have another little bit of a break here, unfortunately. I'm not exactly sure what is going to be happening.
So, an unfortunate bit of miscommunication with the rules. So, in the very first instance of Champ Select, the side of Melbourne did not ban anything for the third ban, and so they must now keep it as a non-ban. Whereas, unfortunately, they did in fact ban Pike because, well, they saw that they picked Pike in the first Champion Select when it was remade.
Alright, so we'll have to see what's going to happen. I'm not exactly sure how that is going to operate, so we'll have to just find out. Hopefully one of the admins will be getting involved and organize what is going on there. A bit unfortunate that that is happening in this case. It's always the first game where something like this just has to happen.
Yeah. First game jitters, like you said, it's a bit of a stressful situation. These are high school kids at a interstate stage, so there's naturally going to be some kind of nerves going.
You can't blame them. In a way, I've always said this. I've said this pretty much every cast I think I've had with Meta. In that, more than anything, I'm just happy that something like Meta exists. Something that, because I remember back in high school, I don't know if it's the same for you, Aj, but it was very much the people who were into the gaming sort of side. We didn't really have anything to do. We just sort of existed, and the school often was just like, really? That's what you can do with your lunchtime? Okay. So the fact that the schools are now actively promoting esports and actively trying to get invested in what their students are interested in, I think it's always a beautiful thing to look at.
Oh, it's absolutely great, and it's phenomenal for social interaction of those more introverted kind of people who do go through high school. Maybe they're not the most popular person in the class, but they get into these groups, they make new friends, and it is a wonderful environment to start getting into things such as game design or perhaps some kind of social media, which is ever so booming in the current day.
Pretty much everything comes to technology nowadays, and it is good to see that the schools are now taking that step in. I say it's definitely the right direction, because then again, I might be a little bit biased in saying that schools need to start focusing on, esports and that sort of stuff, partly because, I may be very, very invested in the topic and subject for obvious reasons. Here I am commentating on, the regional run through of these teams. So hopefully we will be getting into the lobby in very, very shortly. And from what I'm reading in the chat, there is not going to be a third ban from... Yeah, so there's going to be no third ban from Melbourne High School. And the pipe is going to be...
picked for the side
Blakehurst.
Yes, picked for the side of Blakehurst.
So then we have to ask, if you see the pipe on Blakehurst side, if you were in Melbourne High School's position, what would you be locking in?
If you're on the side of Melbourne, you'd want, as you mentioned earlier, you've got the Siva, you've got the Yumi potentially available. You've also got Twitch Yumi, which is, in my opinion, a bit of an underrated style of combo, because it does grant Yumi invisibility when Twitch goes invisible as well. So you've got that bot lane draft that you can go for, which could be very beneficial to the side of Melbourne.
There are also a lot of other power picks that are available, and I think the role that I do want to address a little bit as we go through the motions of pick and ban is the jungle position, and just how impactful that can be, and the number of high impact junglers that can come out. I think Jarvan, I think Sejuani, there are so many different options in the jungle. Are we going to see any priority on that, or do you think it's a matter of, okay, we'll just leave the jungler till second and third round, just because we need to grab what we consider as priority or urgent pick.
Yep, and so we will have no ban coming out here from the third ban from Melbourne, as it should be. We're going to have the first pick coming in from the blue side now, going to be the Pike pickup from INC. More than likely going to go into that support position. However, as I said, there is the possibility that it could be a funnel solo lane Pike, because with his changes to the ultimate in 9.14, both Pike and the assisted, who get the kill with his ultimate, gain the Your Cut Gold bonus.
Very helpful if you want to play an aggressive support there. And Pike just, I love the fact that there's an assassin support who like sits up his team. As I am now extremely happy. I'm seeing a Kled.
Yep.
I love Kled. I love everything Kled stands for. Looked in for
the anti-healing that came through last patch as well. A very competent solo laner, able to out-duel those sustained tanks like Aatrox, like Darius. As we are going to have a bit more of a bruiser jungler picked up as well. Potentially, no, he's going to go back over towards a Ezreal. Okay, so Ezreal is getting locked in. Ezreal, a nice safe AD carry in that bot side, and we're back in.
This is just not going.
First game.
Is not going well.
Melbourne is having a whole heap of trouble.
Melbourne, it appears to be Sherlock once again. Sherlock is the one who's left the game, so it looks like it might just be Sherlock's computer. Unfortunately, we don't know exactly what it is that's going on, but having a few issues there for Melbourne High School, unfortunately, and hopefully we'll find out what's going on. So we don't know what is or isn't being confirmed to be locked in. Unfortunately, we just sort of have to wait for it all for them to come back in. So okay, so they were meant to pick Thresh, and it went to Ezreal. So they did want that Thresh after all, which means that they're trying to play hook support into hook support.
Yeah, this is an unfortunate set of circumstances that's happening. Obviously you're gonna take the player's word for it that it is a client-based issue, but it does take into account how many times does this have to how many times can this happen before eventually you say enough?
I mean, that's something for the admins to say, surely.
Absolutely.
You know, we just have microphones and yell into them for the amusement of the 31 people that are currently watching the slow start to the first game.
So while we're waiting for the players to get back to the lobby, we can discuss potential further picks. So it is going to be a Thresh locked in. So what would work well with a Thresh, since it's obviously not going to be a Yuumi that's locked in?
Oh, I mean, you could look in a Yuumi Thresh. It'd be a very interesting lane, but Thresh does tell me that they want something that is flexible. And ironically, I would say the Ezreal Thresh would actually do really, really well together. Thresh has got a lot of versatility in that Thresh can literally get away with anything. And Ezreal equally so, I'd almost argue. So I would say Ezreal could work here quite nicely. But any AD carry realistically works beautifully because Thresh is able to give a lot of protection with the Lantern. He's able to give a lot of healing with Flay and with Box. And of course, Death Sentence for the engage. So the one thing I think we have to take into account is, of course, the fact that it is a Pike that they are laning up against, which does imply that they might want something with a little bit of mobility, just because otherwise if you get hooked in by the Pike and then CC'd up, your death isn't very far away.
Yeah, that is definitely a potential thing to talk about. However, there is also the mobility through the Thresh's Lantern, which does enable those more immobile carries to have a bit of an escape route. But if I had to take a guess as to what would be the likely pick, I'd say it's probably going to be something along the lines of the Sivir, if it's not going to get picked up or banned away before that.
I don't know how much Blakehurst will look at the Sivir lock-in. If you're running something like a Pike, that screams to me you want kill. You're running a kill lane at the end of the day. And I think pairing that up with something super aggressive can work wonders. Now, my first thought is, of course, going to be the Lucian. Lucian is super, super aggressive, amazing at getting kills in laning phase. And the other champion that I find is actually super impactful with Pike is Swain. Not an AD carry, perhaps, but if you can pair up the CC train with the Swain pool, it does wonders at causing issues for the Melbourne High School bottom lane. So I don't think we'll see an untraditional bottom lane out of Blakehurst, but that is always something we have to keep into account because it is a Pyke that has been locked.
Yeah, that is definitely true. And Swain did receive a a buff to his Q, which they increased the range of it by 100 units. So that's definitely something to take note of, allowing him to harass and CS with a bit more safety from the backline. In addition to that, we do have Tristana being a potential pick that is seeing a lot of play recently, both in the ADC position and in solo lanes. So that is definitely something that we could look towards as we are finally getting into the second pick for the blue side when Thresh is going to get locked in, as that is the pick that was committed.
So solo lane Tristana has been the bane of my existence the last like 2 days, because it's like, why do you hurt me like this?
I mean, it's better than Corki or Azir. Like we can agree with that. Come
yeah,
on.
we can agree on that one. It's like I see it and I think to myself, I don't want to be in this lane phase anymore.
Ooh.
We get to see
Galio.
Olaf Galio. This is interesting because now we've got, when you run in something like an Orianna, you get the ball delivery system. Now we've got the Galio delivery system in that Olaf wants to be diving in. Pyke wants to be diving in. So there is no shortage of heroic entrance targets for this Galio.
See, one thing I'd like to point out is, among me and my group of friends who like to keep up with the meta, I was the only person saying Galio's still decent. And I am so happy to see Galio right now. Because hopefully this proves that. And we are going to have a Corki locked in for the mid lane on the red side. More than definitely going to be a mid lane pickup there. So that will be a bit of a harassing lane against whoever decides to go mid for the side of Blakehurst there. As we are going to have Vayne being the fourth ban on the red side. Let's see what the other bans are coming through.
I mean, when was the last time you saw Corki in the bottom lane on like a professional level? I'm thinking back
Season
to like
4.
Yeah, I'm thinking 2015. I remember
yeah.
Veridas ran it. He was the Unicorns of Love AD carry for IEM 2015. Where they made it to the grand finals against C9. He ran it in the grand final game, I think. Or was it Sneaky? One of the two. So it's been years. So hopefully it's going to go to stasis in the middle lane. Of course, we are kicking off that second round of bans. 80 carries falling by the wayside. So Vayne, someone who can play well with Pyke's aggressive style being hit away. Ezreal, like I mentioned, safe, mobile, not going to be able to be paired up with the Thresh. And this assault on the 80 carry position is just mean. But I'm just going to say this now. Jinx is still available.
Jinx is still available, Jinx. Lucian is still available, and Sivir is also still available. Sivir is a very good pickup. It has intense wave clear, intense harass. We're actually going to have Rek'Sai being the final ban away. Rek'Sai is a decent early counter towards something like Olaf, if it is in the jungle, because of the knock-up, because of the true damage, and just because of the, well, overall damage spike with the Q. As we are actually going to have Hecarim locked in. Hecarim into Olaf. I believe it is Hecarim focused early and then Olaf focused late. So if Hecarim is able to get an early advantage, he can definitely abuse that against the Olaf.
I mean, if Hecarim gets an early advantage, he can abuse that against anybody. He's
Absolutely.
that kind of pony is in the jungle there. And I feel like this Hecarim's going to be priority, is going to potentially be one of those squishy 80 carries. One of the ones still left up that you did mention is the Sivir, who I see Sivir and I think to myself, that's a little bit interesting. I don't think Sivir Pyke goes to give it beautifully, but of course we'll have to see how Blakehurst want to run that lane. Meanwhile, Sejuani locked in means it is going to be Olaf into Kled on the top side of
and the Galio mid.
Yeah, Galio mid. Were you expecting a Galio like support?
I was expecting a Galio top.
Oh yeah, against a Kled though, that sounds like a really painful matchup.
Oh no, percentage health damage on his Q is very nice, as well as the auto attack damage that allows him to hit the wave and hit his lane opponent without drawing aggro from minions. So it is going to be a Olaf top, Sejuani jungle, Galio mid, Sivir ADC and Pyke support against a Kled top, Corki mid, Hecarim jungle, Tristana ADC and Thresh support.
And I look at the lineup of Melbourne High School and I think to myself, this is a very similar composition to what they've ran before. The main difference being that Hecarim was a Kindred last time I saw them. Now, of course, Kindred being banned, they can't run that, but it's...
sorry to cut you off, but is Melbourne not in lane order.
Neither of the team are in lane order, apparently.
That's interesting.
That's the we'll learn into the game, but the thing I do want to talk about is the fact that Melbourne High School is running, like I said, a composition that I know that they're okay. Blakehurst,
Is that a Sejuani top?
that's a Sejuani top. Okay, so Blakehurst have one idea. This is the took me a couple seconds to realize this. This is the Sivir comp. This is the we're gonna group as 5. We're gonna drop on the hunt with the Sivir ultimate. We are gonna run you down, and you're gonna you better die in that duration. That is the entire plan of Blakehurst right now.
Like, the only thing that could make Blakehurst's comp a more go-in comp is if they had Kled on their team.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm in awe of Dio's Sejuani locking, because that worries me. I play a lot of Kled, and I love seeing my opponents play tanks, because it means Kled can do whatever he wants in the top lane.
Oh yeah, build Black Cleaver, have a heyday.
Yeah, I'm just a little concerned about the top lane. Sherlock is an aggressive player. I am expecting him to try and abuse Dio's Sejuani. I'm just surprised why they elected for Sejuani in the top lane rather than the Olaf, because
or Galio, or even Galio. Galio, like, Olaf mid isn't the most outlandish thing either.
Yeah, obviously Blakehurst have something in plan. Their composition, like, they haven't just thrown these champions together randomly. This is a very clearly picked composition to say, okay, we're grouping as 5 in the mid game. We are running them down. We are not letting this game go beyond, I'd say, if the game gets to the 30-35 minute mark, Blakehurst are in real trouble, because they're running effectively a mono threat composition, because Galio more than likely will be building hybrid. You don't really get full AP Galio anymore. And Sivir is their only damage threat. So I like the composition from Blakehurst. It's got its strengths, but it also has a couple weaknesses which Melbourne High School should be able to exploit if they identify it and play around the fact that Blakehurst do not scale brilliantly.
Oh, absolutely. And I just don't see how the Sejuani Kled matchup can go in the favor of Blakehurst. Like, unless... Well, yeah, that's the thing. That requires Knight to be up in that top side and not helping everywhere else, which gives Hecarim, or Stasis on the Hecarim, that much priority to be able to do anything else that he wants.
It's a damned if you do and damned if you don't kind of scenario, I feel like. Knight kind of has to keep an eye on top lane, because you don't want to let a Kled run amok. It is a disaster waiting to happen, but on the other side of the rift, you need to get Sivir ahead. You're running a mono threat composition effectively. And again, the one exception to that is if Galio goes full AP, and even then, scaling isn't... Like, scaling's not bad, but it's not, out of this world level brilliant. So you need to ensure Sivir gets ahead.
Like, Galio, like, he has the percentage health damage on his Q, but other than that, he's pure frontline. Like,
yeah,
that is his thing.
It's the ultimate front to back, because we all say that Sivir is great at front to back team fighting. This is the ultimate front to back team fight from Blakehurst, because it's nothing but tank. It is 4 tanks and then a Sivir who just needs to make sure her ricochets are going throughout the entirety of Melbourne High School. But then I raise the concern. Tell you who's great at getting past front to back team compositions?
Olaf?
Hecarim.
Oh, and Hecarim.
Yeah. Hecarim's just gonna... Because Hecarim ultimately is just going to dive right through them, get on top of Lee
Also clock you with package.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many good ways for them to get past the front line. If Melbourne High School can do that properly, I think they've got a very, very good opportunity in the later game team fights. But A, they need to not lose early game, and B, they need to find those openings and exploit them with their engage opportunity.
Absolutely, and we do have actually the Tristana pickup with the bans in the ADC position for Melbourne. So Tristana, another one of the picks that I talked about being a just generally good ADC to have at the moment. Well, aside from the ones that were banned away, obviously. So looking at the current matchups, it's definitely going to be top mid oriented, I feel, for the earlier part of the game, with most of the pressure happening in bot side coming from the bot lanes themselves with the double hook matchup with Pyke and the Thresh. Because looking at the junglers, early game, they don't really have a solid way of getting into lane.
Yeah, it's like they both of these junglers, as you said, they don't have an easy way of getting lane. They need setup. They need someone to already have started the CC before they're allowed to arrive. In top lane, I think is probably the best lane to gank because of the permafrost with Sejuani. You can double stack it with Knight and Sejuani itself. So really, like, it's a potential lane, but it's also Kled. Kled is so difficult to actually engage on because of the joust and because of the mobility that the champion has in his kit. It's a difficult one to do. I feel like Knight is going to have to be everywhere at once. Like, he needs to be top lane to stop Kled. He wants to be middle lane to stop Corki. He wants to be bottom lane to snowball his Sivir. He has to be everywhere, and he's only one man.
Absolutely, and he has opted for the Conqueror over the Predator, so there is definitely that element of he's not going to be able to always get in to the lanes to be able to gank or to counteract any kind of pressure with the Predator movement speed. So he's very much going to have to be there and be able to get in with the Conqueror on his own. And then he's going to deal more damage in team fights, but he has to be able to get into the team fights. That's the issue.
I'm hoping for, like, this. I've seen so many Olafs recently go for Warrior Enchantment. We need to see a Cinderhawk here. This is a full protective Sivir, and when you're running something like a Conqueror, you don't need the Warrior damage. So, hoping to see that as we do get to see the early game shenanigans. Blakehurst, they're planning something. It might be a super late invade, given it's a 4-stack on the top side with Sivir patrolling the bottom. But, because I feel like they have to invade if they're going to be committing this hard. And they are going to be going forwards. Oracle Lens coming out from Knight, but they will get spotted straight away. And yeah, they're forced to back away. This invade isn't going to work anymore.
Yeah, some nice 10 gold into Knight's pocket, however, as Homeo is coming forward to drop a ward in the Pixel Brush. Now, looking at this current lineup, something that I really would like to point out is there are 2 win conditions for the side of Blakehurst here. And that is both the Sivir being the peel getting peeled for by his frontline, and there's also the Pike execute with his ultimate. If they can just get enough damage down on to even just the front line of Melbourne, they can potentially burst all of them down with Pike's execute ultimate.
His secondary one ready to rumble. As we did see some fun jungle shenanigans. Stasis coming in for a late invade and grabbing himself the red buff of Knight. Now, we're more than likely going to see vertical jungling as a result of this, so it's... Although, actually, it might not, because Stasis, typically, when you do...
Early gank coming out here from Knight, though, as he's making his way topside.
Oh, this could end badly. He's not doing well, but we're seeing a Flash coming out of chat. Level 2 on the bottom lane first. They are targeting down their priority members. He'll forced out Flash as well. That summon is down on the bottom lane. Very good use of the fact that they hit level 2 first, trying to push their aggression.
Absolutely, very well done with that Thresh engaged with both the Flash and the Ignite. As we do have Knight in the top sides, hopefully attempting to split the map by taking Stasis' red buff while he is making his way topside, potentially to try and get a gank down there for Dio as he's coming in. Flash still available for Sherlock, though.
Sherlock using the joust. He should be able to get out alive, but it's a little interesting that he was even that far pushed up. They had to know that Knight was on the top side of the map.
Like, return the favor there, bot line.
On the bottom side. Chat in so much trouble. Upstock will not be able to save him. First blood coming in will leave me alone. The satchel charge is not even going to be enough damage. And now Slogdog running down the AD carry of Melbourne High School. A couple more hits will do it. He wants to try to turn around, but not going to be enough as he gets crushed out on the bottom side of the map. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Sherlock super low, but he gets Skull back just forwards. Bear trap on a rope. That's going to be a kill. Take it down on the top lane.
Oof, back-to-back action happening from bot to top. That entire bot lane play was almost entirely Slowdog doing all of the work for his for his bottom lane duo. And on top of that, we did have the double flash coming out from both Sherlock and Dio. So that matchup with the solo kill going over to Sherlock is definitely looking to be Kled favored. And as we mentioned before, Knight definitely needs to start putting a bit more pressure up there, as we do have Friend A doing some damage on the Galio. He is still alive, and he is doing damage.
I don't think Homeostasis saw that coming a million miles away. He's like, oh, I'll be able to Valkyrie out of this fight. Gets interrupted, and just his health bar has been devastated. The Winds of
Mr.
War
Galio, he's dead.
doing so much work in that middle lane. And I'm going to quickly drag us back to the junglers as the vertical jungling is continuing out of these two, Knight and Stasis. There was a bit of a skirmish before, which did result in Knight blowing his flash to try and hunt down a kill. Not able to get it, unfortunately. But other than that, we're just seeing vertical jungling coming out of both these lanes. And in a way, it's a really bad sign for Blakehurst that in vertical jungling, their weak half of the map being... the weak half of their map... The strong half of their map, sorry, which is the top side, obviously, because that's where Knight is closer to, is losing the matchup. And that's partly just because of the matchup itself.
Yeah, but it also does give Knight a bit of opportunity to give Dio that a bit of breathing room. He's still able to farm somewhat reliably with the W max that he's going for. So as long as he can stay safe from Sherlock, he should be able to farm relatively safely and still be a decent frontline for his team. And by stopping Stasis from getting to that top side, he's just stopping them from just effectively snowballing Sherlock even further out of control, other than what he could get for a solo kill.
Yeah, seeing aggression on the bottom side as well, but on the top lane, Sherlock building himself a small CS advantage, but more than anything, this is tempo. Dio doesn't have the right to walk up to the minion wave. He's taking so much damage then. He needs to be careful.
Yeah, a bit of overconfidence there from Dio, going in for the stun after he gets half health by Sherlock. Definitely something that's a risky play.
It's confidence, and in a way, I'm a fan of trying something, but what you need to acknowledge is that Kled is an amazing duelist, and unfortunately, as a tank, oh, might come into that in a second, as I think Stasis getting invaded on, he is able to charge away, but with Stasis so low, that could potentially be a sign for the bottom lane to go in favor of Blakehurst, and this could, we are seeing Olaf on the dragon itself. It is, I believe it's only it's an air dragon? Yes, it's a cloud dragon, so not the end of the world of objectives to lose.
Absolutely not, and we are actually somewhat seeing a bit of a reverse sweep on the side of splitting the jungle from top to bottom, as Knight is now orienting towards the bot side, seeing that Dio is not going to be able to effectively do much with Knight's presence up there. He is now looking to try and propel this bottom lane ahead, as he's even looking to
there's a 6-man dive coming in. Galio has ultimate.
Level 6 coming in.
This is a 4-man dive coming in. This is really well timed to execute. Band is in so much trouble. The lantern needs to be available. Can he get out to it? He has flash. He has heal available. They're going for the support. Instead, chat might be in a little bit of trouble. Able to get out alive in the tower dive. Botch. They weren't able to get it. They were too focused. Half of them went for chat. Half of them went for bands. There wasn't a decision made about who they were targeting
down here.
Bands is being aggressive. Dio says, hey, I want to be part of the party. He's roamed down. They still has teleport. That is so cruel, but it shows that Blakehurst have a plan. Let me alone ahead.
Is it a plan or is it just organized chaos? I can't tell.
But
however, you can see that the side of Melbourne is somewhat struggling to position themselves in response to it, as they just did not want to commit to a re-engage there, as we are going to have Dio teleporting back to top lane before the wave crashes. So overall, nicely done for the side of Blakehurst, but like, I don't even think they entirely knew what they were planning on doing.
I disagree. I think Blakehurst, they had the idea. Friend A on the Galio had the Galio ultimate ready to rumble. Knight roamed down. Even Dio walked his way over to
They didn't even use Galio ult.
Huh?
They didn't even use Galio's ult.
No, they didn't use it because I think the idea was to get them under the turret, CC them with the pike, and then follow it up with the Galio. Not working the way I'm sure that they planned it out. But at the end of the day, they did snag themselves a couple kills under their belt. They are sitting at 1,500 gold ahead of Melbourne High School. So, all in all, you have to say it is a successful venture.
Yeah, definitely successful, as we now see that Slow Dog and Leave Me Alone are now level 6, counteracting Bands and Chat, who are still only level 5. So, there is the potential for the Pike upset with the Execute if he's able to land a hook, which he did, but he's not going to commit.
Needs to be a little careful, though, doesn't want the potential turnaround, because, of course, they do not know exactly where Stasis is. And if this Hecarim just runs out of nowhere when they're not expecting reinforcements and a counter gank, they are just going to get torn apart. But So far, the bottom lane of Blakehurst doing a brilliant job building up quite a CS lead over the Tristana. And even the Corki roam, you see how many pings are coming out when Corki just vanishes from lane for only a couple seconds. Blakehurst are really on top of it when it comes to their decision making.
Slowdog patrolling that bottom side. Brushes trying to get some kind of cheek advantage, as he did Hill Queen bans just then. But again, not really able to commit too much, as Chat is able to flay the, I believe it is the Phantom Undertow from getting the stun proc off from Slowdog, as Bans is
my god, Bans executed!
Slowdog just goes
He's dead out of that one. Slog forced to flash as well. This aggressive kill lane and bot finally able to grab the execution. We may see something more. But Headroom is arriving, though, trying to get onto the back line. Not able to pick up anything. The onslaught of shadows looked fancy, but not working out.
And that could very well be first turret there, as they're just struggling to defend it more or less with 3 people there in the bottom side. There is a bit of a scuffle happening in the top side, but Dio is surely able to shrug it off and walk away. They are going to get a decent amount of damage down, but not going to be able to secure the first turret just yet.
Grabbing the turret, 30 CS in advantage of a Sivir, who is now more than likely simply going to continue building up this tempo, is nowhere that they wanted to be, as Sherlock trying to play aggressive on this Kled, and while he's done well to grab himself an early kill, he hasn't really been able to get any much more than that. He needs this turret to fall. He really wants the longer lane, but Dio might be getting baited into a trap, forced to Glacial Prison as well out of that one. The charge coming in, there's no safety when Kled is angry, teleport coming in, but it's not going to be in time as Dio falls and Frienday can only watch, but he might be able to get a turnaround kill. Knight has arrived as well. Sherlock forced to dismount. Pocket pistols away. Hecarim coming in, but not able to CC him. He gets run down by the Kled. The Ignite burning onto the Olaf. Is he going to get out alive with homeostasis arrival? I do not believe that's going to be good. A double kill coming out. Knight hunting down his prey. The Lantern's available, but instead they are trying to fight this out. Galio is going to be the sacrificial lamb coming in here. The kill going over to Bans, but while all that shenanigans is happening, they will grab themselves the first turret on the bottom side of the map.
What a absolute series of events happening there in that top side. The back and forth between Dio and Sherlock, with Sherlock tower diving Dio, able to get himself a solo kill. But the sheer duo dynamic coming out from Knight and Frienday is nothing to scoff at, absolutely not. Galio really showing his prowess of being that guardian that helps the damage dealers just completely turn the odds around. Like, you would think that Knight was going to go down there as soon as Stasis and Homeo rocked up, but they were able to pull it through, and even then Frienday was able to be, as you said, be that sacrificial lamb, getting Knight away, keeping that bounty for himself, as we do have a bit of a fight stirring here over the Infernal Dragon.
Stasis is like, wait, this isn't where I want to be. Knight's arriving, and we are seeing the hero engines coming in. This is a full collapse. They have to back away. They grab themselves the dragons, but Blakehurst now hunting for their prey, but can they get onto them? As Bans is left untouched. A lovely multi-man talk, but leave me alone. 3 hitting in this fight as Bans is the next victim. Sherlock not able to remount. Sloglock grabbing himself an execution. Stasis will be forced to run away, but will not be given the time of day. Gets crushed out, and Blakehurst coordinating a 4v5 victory at the Dragon Pit.
And that is more than likely going to be the mid turret going down, as well as potentially the top turret, as we do have Dio just, you know, casually being up there, despite it being a 4 vs 5 at that Infernal Dragon, and with a intensely nice triple taunt coming out from Frienday on the Galio, really showing that this pick is still definitely viable as a solo lane.
Doing damn well on this Galio. 1-1 and 4 with the Rod of Ages stacking in his back pocket to boot. So definitely doing an argument that, especially in this composition, Galio is a perfect fit. You protect the Sivir, and you need to be part of the engage. Well, definitely what we saw in that last Dragon fight. Charging in after the Olaf was a beautiful sight to behold, as they'll even grab the Rift Tail. Blakehurst are running Melbourne High School around.
It is definitely not looking good for them, as we do have the Rift Tail getting picked up by Knight there. 14 minutes in, though. That means tower plating is now down. So any turret platings that go, any turrets that go down will not provide that bonus gold that potentially Dio would be looking for, as he's actually fallen quite far behind in terms of items in comparison to Sherlock. But that's to be expected when Sherlock on the Kled has those 2 solo kills, and all Dio has is trying to catch up and farm, really.
I think I know what Dio's doing as well, and like 85% of me is tilted knowing that Dio's first item is a Knight's Vow. Like, that's tilting. I saw the Kindle gem, like, there's no way he's building a Warmogs. Oh, he's doing that build. It's tilting, but it makes perfect sense. Blakehurst, it's entirely on keeping Sivir strong, keeping her alive, and you might as well grab it. You're still going to be tanky, you're still going to be that engage option. So, Blakehurst, like I said, they came into today's game with a very clear plan of attack. They knew what they wanted in pick and ban. They knew what they wanted to try and take this game, and so far, they are definitely executing on their win conditions. 8,000 gold in the lead pre-20 minutes.
Yep, and as the Rift Herald is popped in the mid lane, they are more than likely going to be able to take down the inner turret as well. Sherlock is there, going to get caught out potentially with a double taunt, and they're just going ham.
He's getting torn apart. His only resistance is the HP.
Stasis going
to go to the back line. Can he get Leave Me Alone? The answer is no, he cannot. And unfortunately, Melbourne High School are in a disaster. The pike is popping off, and Olaf Ragnarok in the house through the turret. That is a triple kill for the support assassin of Blakehurst. That is going to be at least the inhibitor line smashed at 15 minutes in the game. That's insane!
That is absolutely phenomenal coming out from the side of Blakehurst. And looking into that, as you mentioned before this game started, Melbourne High, they really like to try and pressure things even when they're not in the right position to do so. And this is a very clear-cut example of that. They tried to go for that fight, even though Sherlock was caught out under his own tower. Stasis still tries to dive the backline into a pike that already has Duskblade, and it just clearly did not work out for them.
I feel like that was Melbourne High School saying, okay, we need to do something. What do we need to do? And then Stasis was like, I'm going in, boys! And it just did not work out. His Bands is in a little bit of trouble. Buster Shot's not going to save him. Jumps? Yeah, Jump was never going to save him. Olaf, this is not the tank Olaf I was expecting. This is Warrior Enchantment Black Cleaver on the way, Olaf. And it's doing a very good job of running Melbourne High School into the ground. 13,000 gold in the lead, and that is a very difficult thing to come back from.
13,000 gold, double dragon, 5-0 towers. It hardly seems like there is a way for Melbourne to get back into this game. Like, it just seems like they've got so much going against them. You've got Slowdog on the pike, who's just able to execute people with almost impunity because of his front line. And then on top of that, you've got Leave Me Alone, who is hitting from the back line, again, with impunity because of the front line.
Like I said, Blakehurst knew what they were doing when they drafted this composition, and it has worked out beautifully this game, building such a momentum and a lead. Like I said, I think, I don't know if there's a phrase for it, but a lot of casters in the pro scene will tell you at 10,000 gold, a game is near impossible to come back from.
No,
especially when you walk in like that, Bands. That's just not going to work out for you. The AD carry's gone. The top lane is going to be gone as well. The support going in for the rest of his team. But this is bullying at this point. Stasis falls to Leave Me Alone, which is, I think, exactly what Melbourne High School is saying at this point. Just leave us alone, please. This is just cruel.
Yeah, they are going to look to try and go for some of the damage on the Nexus towers here. They definitely have the opportunity to do so with the Sivir attack speed bonus, or even just the general attack damage from their team lineup. We do have Dio coming across, though, and they are just struggling to defend. Tristana Rocket jumps in, but that is a lot of damage from the Galio.
That's going to be one turret down the charge coming up, but Bounce is so low, he's going to get executed before the fight even starts. Tristana gone. Kled 1 versus 5 almost in there. Finally, Stasis has arrived to reinforce, but there's simply not enough damage. The Boomerang Blade is tearing them apart, and that is going to be the game. Blakehurst came in with, sure, unconventional strategy perhaps, but they made it work. They knew what they needed to do, and take a hell of a convincing game pre-20 minutes.
What a game! In all honesty, coming in from Champ Select with the Sejuani top, an incredibly questionable pick. Even the Galio can be considered questionable to thee of little faith. But you would not think that team comp would have the vitality that it had in this game. 3 deaths coming from the 2 front lines, Sejuani and Galio, while the backline and even the Olaf, perfect KDAs all around.
It was a beautiful game coming out of Blakehurst. Again, they knew what they wanted. They came into the game with a very clear game plan. And Melbourne High School, unfortunately, it just did not work out for them. Not their lanes were able to get the priority that they wanted. And Bands and Chat in the bottom lane, they really struggled down there. 1-8 on this Tristana against the powerhouse that was the Leave Me Alone composition. And if we want to look at this game, think back to that level 6, admittedly botched dive initially, but the idea behind Blakehurst's strategy was, let's grab a really strong mono threat composition and let's ensure that Silver Pike get ahead. And they did a brilliant job in doing just that.
Yeah, and I feel like one of the crucial components of this game was the mid lane. As homeostasis on the Corki. Corki is known to be a decent harassing lane opponent, but into a melee champion such as Galio, he just seemed insignificant. Like, there wasn't any kind of solo kill pressure or anything. Galio was able to leave lane with priority, while Homeo wasn't able to push even with the Trinity build.
Bit of a roughie on that one, but that is going to be that's going to be the 5th round of the meta regional run through done and dusted. So with that, of course, Blakehurst take the game over Melbourne High School, and I will quickly just update my personal standings. So I'm trying to keep a track of all the games. Rangi gets a win. Perf as well. Okay, so going into the 6th round, we'll have a little bit of a break, but to give you guys a score update, first place is currently belonging to Rangitoto from New Zealand with 4 wins under their belt. Melbourne High School and Blakehurst sitting in equal. I can't do maths. Perth Modern School, Blakehurst and Melbourne High School all sitting on 3 wins apiece. The next 2 games for these teams will be hugely important. And unfortunately, Adelaide not in the position with only 1 win under their belt, guys. But we will be back, hopefully only a matter of minutes, for the 2nd game of our meta run through tonight, which is going to be Rangitoto College versus Melbourne High School. everybody, and welcome back to the second round for today for the meta run-through, where we have Melbourne High School going up against Rangitoto College, so Victoria versus New Zealand for the second round here today, and this will be very exciting to see these two teams running into each other. We saw Melbourne High School, let's just say, had a very rough performance, is one way to word it, in the first game of today, so hopefully they can bounce back and really step up for their game against Rangitoto, because Rangitoto currently sitting in first place with 4 wins under their belt.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a more substantial team composition for the side of Melbourne is going to be warranted for this game. As for their last game, it was more oriented towards... It was definitely team fight oriented, but it was also somewhat solo carry oriented with Cled, Hecarim, Corky, as well as the Tristana. It wasn't so much as team wombo combo or synergy, as it was just hopefully we're all in a decent enough state that we can just carry on our own or do enough damage to win team fights, right?
Yeah, that was the battle plan. Didn't work out.
No, did not.
And the question is, and this is something I want to ask you, do you think Melbourne High School go for a different strategy altogether? Or
Yes.
stay with... Okay, so then where do you think they go with this? What do they look at, considering how they struggled in the previous game?
Stick with team fight, but choose more solid champions. Choose champions that don't have as many prerequisites. Like, for example, Hecarim. Hecarim is a very hot and cold champion. You either do well and then you carry, or you don't do well and you're just non-existent. That Hecarim was non-existent pretty much.
Unfortunately, it didn't have the impact.
So something that just has presence in the game is a decent pick. Like Sejuani can have presence, although if Sejuani is behind, can be somewhat lackluster. But there are champions that do have just overall decent presence, like an Amumu, for example. Very basic, but has presence with the snare and with the large snare on his ultimate. As we are going to get into bans phase now, Cled and Cassiopeia being the blue side bans, and then Vladimir and Kali being the red side bans.
And Claire taken away, Sherlock not getting his access to that champion again, and Rakan being taken away from chat once again, not able to get the champion that he, obviously does want, given the number of bans that are being thrown at him. Yumi, the final one, taken away from Lemon Lord, and where does Rangitoto College want to take it? Is Pike an option? Are they going to go for a global comp like we saw in the last game? Or are we going to see something a bit more their style? We've got about 10 or so seconds to lock it in. And
yep,
Sejuani, I love to see Sejuani being...
Probably not top side. Probably not a top pick.
Yeah, probably going to go for the jungle, but I still love to see the lock in the champion. I think she's super, super strong, and she does brilliantly in pretty much 85% of compositions. Okay. Not the direction I thought Melbourne High School would go.
Kindred locked in as well. Okay, so this is starting to look interesting. You've got lockdown with Swain and DPS with Kindred. So far, so good. If they can lock down a tanky frontline support, or if that Swain is mid and they go for another tanky top lane champion, that could be a very interesting team comp coming out from Melbourne, as we are going to have Tarek locked in. No, it's actually going to be swapped over to Kaiser, as it is going to be the pick for LCD there, as we are going to have the third pick.
I love to see the Kindred. Like I said, I think Kindred for Melbourne High School is a huge champion for them. They did a brilliant job with it in the previous day's work, and I'm really excited to see can they make it work. We're looking at Pike to pair her up. So life and death coming out of Melbourne High School. Kindred giveth and Pike taketh. The last lock-in is going to be the Camille, more than likely going to go up in the top lane. Although I think mid lane Camille is still a thing, and it is Guppy. So I don't want to take it past him that it might play Camille mid.
Yeah, I have a feeling that it's going to be Camille top, which does make Swain not really too great for the top side, as Camille would be quite well off into that matchup, as we are getting to the second ban phase with Morgana being the first banned away. Also, one thing, it's more death and death, because isn't Kindred like in her thematic a Grim Reaper of sorts?
Basically, yeah. Basically, I say life and death purely because Kindred's ultimate stops people from dying, and then Pike's ultimate ensures that they die. So I thought it'd be a fun little way. The thing I do want to say, this could be Swain Pike. I mentioned it at the start of the day. I actually think this is Swain Pike bottom lane.
You did mention it. I hope that's not the case, but we'll see, as we do have two supports banned away, Morgana and Braum, so pretty staple supports that go well with Kai'Sa, giving her a good amount of hard crowd control to use those plasma stacks, as we do have Sivir banned away as an ADC. So if it is a Swain bot lane, they are wasting bans on ADCs with this Tristana and Sivir ban, but I don't think it is a Swain bot.
The only reason I think it might be a Swain bottom is not only does Swain Pike work perfectly, look, the Morgana ban. It really does not fit to me. If you're running an AD carry, the Morgana ban just doesn't make sense to me personally. I could be entirely wrong. And yet this is going to be Swain top or Swain mid.
Well, it's definitely not Swain top now because they've just locked in Poppy.
Yeah, so it's going to be Poppy into Camille, great matchup there. I don't know, part of my brain is still saying this is a Swain Pike bottom lane, but I can't let go of that idea, so let's see what Rangitoto goes
Seeing the
instead.
Poppy does, like, somewhat make it more likely, but there's still the potential for it to be a mid lane Swain, and into the Rise as well, which is more than likely going to go into that mid lane. I still feel like an ADC is warranted. I feel like you need some kind of further backline DPS. Like, yes, you've got Kindred, and yes, you've got Swain on that potential backline, but is it enough?
Oh, so we're getting Sejuani top again. Or wait.
Yeah.
Oh, is this? Okay, there's
Elite
one of two things
support.
here. This is either Elise. This might be Elise support.
Oh, Elite support. I've seen this.
I haven't seen this since LCK days, dude. This is. I got no idea what Rangitoto are doing. They've got something so weird.
They've got an ace up their sleeve, and it is going to be a Swain Pike bot lane. There it is, as Fizz is locked in. So a decent frontline pick with, actually did receive some buffs last patch. Actually, circumstantial buffs. Fizz is better against damage over time, but looking at the lineup for Rangitoto, they don't really have a lot of damage over time on their kit. So it's okay, but not really anything that changes his kit too much.
So let's address the elephant in the room.
Elise top.
Elise top, Sejuani support. Now, Sejuani support, I suppose, isn't too unconventional. Okay, I don't want to look at Melbourne High School right now because what I'm seeing is confusing me. I'm just not going to talk about Melbourne High School for a little bit.
Oh, nope, it is Elise jungle Sejuani support. There we go.
Okay, make the
So it's more sensible. It is more sensible now.
But the Sejuani support really just... I find it a little bit odd. Honestly, it just does not seem to gel with the image that's inside my head of first picking the Sejuani. I mean, I love what both these teams are doing. It's not what I was expecting. Melbourne High School have also got that. I assume it's Chat is the top laner now, and Sherlock is the discount AD carry with bans as support?
Potentially. It's a lot to take in, that's for certain. One thing I would like to note is there are the Rise changes that did happen that happened a fair while ago, which effectively made his Q a lot more powerful and made him able to harass a lot better during the laning phase. Whether or not he'll be able to accurately harass Stasis on the Fizz, well, we'll see. However, he does get... He is potentially weaker, I'd say, in the mid game, but he's definitely stronger in the early game, and he's definitely stronger in the late game.
This middle lane matchup's concerning to me, and it's the same concern I get whenever I see an assassin in League of Legends, which is that I feel like assassins have an obligation to snowball to be relevant in the game as it goes on. My concern with Fizz is that he's not very good at setting up his lane for a gank, because obviously lack of crowd control.
Yep.
Kindred kind of wants the gank to be set up for them, and Rise can have ridiculous wave clear with just a tier if he uses his combo properly. I don't know how well this matchup's going to go for Stasis, but he did lock it in knowing that it was going to be into a Rise, so obviously Stasis is feeling confident this game.
Yeah, in looking at the lineups, I definitely feel like, at least for the side of Melbourne, it's definitely going to be top bot oriented in terms of jungle pressure, as that is more than likely going to be where Kindred will be able to get the most benefit. As I don't think they do too well into counter jungling in Elise unless they have a lead, as Elise with the cocoon and with the burst potential can take Kindred out pretty quickly if they are substantial.
I mean, knowing it can burst them out, but Stasis in the last week did show he's very good at ensuring he drops the Lamb's Respite when needed. If last week is anything to go off of. So hopefully he's able to stay on point for this game. As I just love, I'm still a little bit in awe at just the compositions that we're seeing today. Like, game 1, we saw a Swain top with basically a mono threat composition. Game 2, we're seeing a little bit of everything being thrown around. Sejuani support, Swain Pike bottom. I have to assume it's a Swain Pike in the bottom lane. It's just a little bit of everything that I'm in love at just how unconventional mainly Melbourne High School are running for this game, because they're not going back to the idea of we need AD carries. Like, we need just damage. Swain Pike means we have to win laning phase, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that I would like to point out here is Electrocute Swain. You don't see that too often now.
I think
more often. Go on.
No, I was gonna say, I think that means it's 100% Swain Pike bottom, because I think I might be wrong with this, but Swain top usually runs Grasp. So, but
Grasp or
let's
Klepto,
get confused.
one of the two.
Because is it? If I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong because I don't play a whole lot of Swain. I think Phase Rush is the standard go-to keystone with that champion.
Phase Rush is fine, but it doesn't give you anything other than the movement speed. Which, yes, it can be useful, but at the same time, it's just movement speed. It's not going to help you kill people quicker. It's going to help you stick to people, but it's not going to help you kill people.
Yeah, well, we'll see the Electrocute obviously there for the DPS and burst. Let's see if that's able to run himself in that middle lane. I didn't do this last game, Aj. I know I should have, and I forgot, and I have the deepest condolences for myself for doing it. Look at the two lineups that you see facing you for this matchup. Who do you think will be able to take this game? Melbourne High School or Rangitoto College?
I feel like it's a bit hard to tell at this current state. I feel like it very much so depends on the jungle, or on how the jungle goes. If BN is able to get ahead on the Elise, and he's able to, as I said, burst homeostasis before you can even get the Lamb's Respite down, because you can't put it down while you're cocooned. If he's able to just outright make homeo irrelevant, I feel like it's going to be favored towards the blue side there. But on the other hand, if Kindred is able to get ahead, it's definitely going to be favored towards Melbourne.
I mean, I want to talk about this at least, partly in a way, because I have a thing where last cast I talked excessively about Elise and how I don't think she's that brilliant of a champion, and then the Elise decided to destroy the entire game and just did a demolition derby. So the point of the matter is, you have to do well with Elise early. It's exactly as you've just said. If you don't, she doesn't have great scaling. She's great at pick potential with the cocoon. You don't use that, she just falls apart. So and my concern for Rangitoto College is, will they be playing aggressively enough to allow the Elise to do what she needs to do in the early game? I don't think it's going to be hard enough of a snowball to let them take control of the game to make the Elise make the Elise scale to the point where she's still relevant at 20-25 minute mark.
I don't think it necessarily has to do so much with how aggressive they do during the early game. I feel like it has to do with how well are they positioning themselves, or how well are they coping themselves in their own lanes. Because effectively, if none of your lanes are losing as the Elise, you're doing well. If any of your lanes are ahead and you're the Elise, you're doing well. So going even is effectively as good as winning, because with the Elise, you're still going to be relevant even if you're on par. As long as you're not behind, you're doing good. Especially with the potential for the objective control, which Elise can be phenomenal at, if they are able to get the right amount of pressure on the map.
Alright, so We are seeing some early game shenanigans coming out here. Of course, it is going to be Swain Pike bottom with Poppy top. Both junglers starting on the bottom side, but I think the first thing that is 100% worth noting is the lane swap that Rangitoto College has initiated, giving Rise a safe lane on the top side of the map. And Poppy's going to have a really rough game if what we're seeing so far is any indication.
Yep, Poppy is definitely not going to enjoy being into a ranged matchup. Although Poppy has innate tankiness with her W, she needs her W to be able to get the tankiness. So at level 1, she's definitely not that tanky. While Lemon Lord is actually getting a bit
level
of
2 hit
down
first,
here.
they're targeting the central one, but level 2 hit back. And they have left LCD alone. You can't ignore the AD carry like that. Flash for flash. Sherlock's going to go down. Ignite being dropped from Lemon Lord. Bands could be in trouble as well. He is hooking him in, but he's simply going to get crushed out. Phantom Undertow will not save him. And LCDDK was ignored in the fight and gets a double.
Overconfident, overpressured, over-greedy from the side of Melbourne botline. Sherlock and Bands, they go way too ham, way too early. Yes, they got the level 2 advantage, but they did not need to push that much. And it punished them incredibly so for it.
Really good punishment. We'll see a turnaround.
Top side.
Oh, what a beautiful flash to deny the heroic charge.
Perfect.
That was perfect. Pixel perfect, as you said. There may be something more. BN is nearby, but I think they might have an idea that this is happening. Flash from Cocoon.
No, flash from Homeo.
Oh, this is not the position that Melbourne High School wanted to be in this game. Already down, not even 5 minutes in.
Yep, LCD getting back to lane with a Kiriche shard already, and BN's going to be able to steal away the stack from Homeo on the scuttle at the top side. So we'll have to wait for the next mark to appear on the map. Meanwhile, bot side for Melbourne are still going incredibly aggressive. Yes, they do have a lot of lockdown in CC, but do they have the damage?
Right now, they might, ironically, and that is just because Lemon Lord is still quite squishy, and even LCDDK, if they do jump on him like this, he is not tanky, but he's able to do a lot of damage in return, and unfortunately, Sherlock and Bands, they do damage, but not enough, as we clearly see in that trade.
Yeah, and we are going to have BN rotating towards the bot side now, definitely going to either move towards the scuttle, and then likely to Krugs. Maybe even look for a gank here in the bot side, as Lemon Lord is now going aggressive.
We're seeing a potential 2v2 happening.
Sherlock
Bands is
really
forward, but Sherlock's already gone. Bands! It's like, well, where'd my AD carry go? This wasn't the plan. He's just gonna get run down. LCDDK and Lemon Lord. We have to remember that these guys were there last year for the final. And I think New Zealand on Rangitoto took the entire meta series. And these two were part of the team that did it and showing their experience.
Yep, I definitely remember that, and that was a sight to behold. It's just Sherlock and Bands, they're trying to force something that just won't give. Like, they're just trying to wedge their way into the bot side to try and get some kind of counter kill or compensation. Homeostasis is there, but they don't have the lockdown. Lemon Lord's more than likely barely going to get the
Purple coming to the backside, though. This is a flank coming in. Guppy will be there. Status don't even get the kill, which is a disaster. And now they realize, well, Guppy, what is going on right now? Not the position Status wanted to be in. While all that was happening, Chat's teleport got cancelled by Guppy. So Guppy cancelled the TP and then decided to TP himself. That is dirty. Stasis in the mid lane. Doing well against Orc's Diamond. One more hit will do it. Forces the flash out of him. But now it's been flanked by Guppy. Guppy, can he get the lockdown? Looks like he will not be able to get the CC. Cocoon going out will not connect. And the flash from Stasis will get him out alive.
Such a unfortunate series of events happening there on the bot side for the side of Melbourne High. As I said, they keep trying to force it, but it just won't happen. They wanted to try and get the kill there with Homeo coming into the bot side, but they just don't have the damage, they don't have the current amount of lockdown, especially with Bands out of the lane, to be able to do it. Like, they're still going aggressive to try and get Swain his stacks. But that's a level 5 Sejuani, and you're level 3 on Pike.
Yeah, this bottom lane has not gone anywhere near how Melbourne High School envisioned it. The idea behind Swain Pike is CC them when they're not expecting it, kill them, and continue rinse and repeat. Unfortunately, falling behind in a lane that requires a little bit of cheesiness is a disaster coming in that bottom lane. And even in the top lane, not going in the Poppy favor. Quite obviously, Poppy, locked into a rough matchup, has done well, all things considering, but is behind the rise. And the one lane I'd say that's doing well is Fizz into the Camille, but even then, he's still 10 CS down.
And he is a Fizz, so that means he's more than likely... There is the potential for him to be able to get a good amount of group damage down in a fight with his ultimate, but other than that, it's all single target damage. He's only going to be able to really target one person, get them down, and then what? He's done. He's got to wait for his E to get back up, and in that time frame, you've got the Ryze, you've got the Elise, Sejuani, you've got Kai'Sa, you've even got Camille able to lock you down and hold you in place so the other people can then kill you. So even then, Fizz won't be able to carry this on his own. And that is going to be a homeostasis getting caught out in his own jungle.
This is not where Stasis wants to be. He's going to try and run for his life, but VN has his flash. A couple more hits will do. No!
Oh!
Red buff! The red buff gets him eventually. But Rangitoto playing aggressive now on the top side. We are seeing Turn the Waters try and turn it around. Guppy has no flash. Will get run down by Chat's Poppy. And BN might be punished for staying, grabbing himself kills and buffs to boot.
Okay, a bit of a saving grace there for Melbourne in their own topside jungle. They're able to get some kills down onto the solo lanes. Definitely good for the Poppy, able to get those resistances up now with the Spectre's Cal. More than likely going to look
on
for
the bottom side. DC in a lot of trouble. Can he get it alive? Killer Instinct tried by a bit of space. Flash out as well. Eye of the Emperor not gonna connect. Flash and Shallow, no! He doesn't able to get in range, and now they are turning on to Lemon Lord himself. But this Sejuani is not gonna die anytime soon, and super unfortunate. They forced both summoners out of LCD DK, however.
Again, the bot side from Sherlock and Bands, they're trying to force, and they're just not able to close out. But yes, they're able to do a lot of damage and potentially get a kill, but they haven't done it yet. And that is going to be the make or break for them, as they are trying to look to force a dragon here with Homeo there. But Homeo, a Kindred, at 9 minutes in with 0 stacks, you're not going to do a lot of damage.
Not the position that Melbourne High School was gunning for, and while all that dragon posturing was happening, Chat started to rotate towards the dragon, only realized, crap, I gotta go top lane. I gotta deal with this Ryze who is just constantly shoving my wave in with that tier in his back pocket. So, not able to secure themselves that objective, unfortunately, and lose a couple turret platings as a result.
Yeah, almost a 40 CS difference in the top side there. Although Homeostasis is able to keep up relatively well in CS in comparison to BN, the pressure that BN is outputting for his team is phenomenal with that top side and with the bottom side just being so vastly ahead of their counterparts. The only saving grace, I think, for the side of Melbourne right now is with the Fizz and with the Pyke.
That Pyke, however, the bottom lane is getting engaged on Sherlock, just gets run down before he can even do anything. Pyke forced to watch as the Sejuani support with that glacial precision ensures Sherlock has nowhere to run.
A definite unfortunate series of events as BN is now clearing the control ward, and that is going to be the turret forced away, teleport actually coming in from Sherlock, but I don't think it's going to be enough to save them. He is able to lock down LCK and get a couple of stacks, but there's no damage behind it. There's crowd control, but there's no damage.
Side. Oh god, we see Orcs is roaming down as well, so this could potentially be a dive coming here. Cocoon lands, Bad's going, no, not able to connect, but at least a stun coming out of the Phantom undertow, but the Ignite dropped. Camille is on the flank, but she might get dived, but hook shocks her way out of danger. But Melbourne High School, I feel like they're feeling the pressure right now, given Bands' flash. I feel like they know they're under pressure. They feel like they have to do something, but they're not exactly sure what that is that they have to do.
Yeah, if the nerves weren't getting to the side of the Melbourne bottom, it definitely is
they
now.
might get
that is
no!
going to be
Not able to
potentially
pick
nice.
up the kill. LCD might eventually fall. The shield's coming out. Sherlock, one hit away. No! This is tilting. They cannot grab the kills.
You hate to see it. You hate to see them get so close to get what they're fighting for, and have it just barely slip away. Pike, level 6, not able to get the execute off with the ultimate. And Swain, in addition, getting blocked by the minions and pressured by the Elise, not able to commit for the kill onto LCD. You can see that they're trying. You can see that they're trying to grasp at straws to try and just get any kind of compensation for their efforts. But 0-4 and 0-3, it is not looking good for them.
And this is what happens when a team that doesn't really know how to put their foot on the brake falls behind. We saw it last game, we're seeing it this game, and we see that out of so many teams. When they win in such a dominating fashion. But when they fall behind, when they're not playing with the tempo, with the lead that they are so used to playing with, they start to fall apart. And unfortunately, Melbourne High School, not used to playing at a deficit perhaps, and just not used to not having the tempo in their favor, given they're continuing to try and force plays exactly like we expect them to, but it's just not working for them.
Yeah, and again, as you said, with that previous game with Melbourne, they like to try and pressure, they like to try and fight, even if they're not in the right position to do so, and that is Homio getting...
That is bullying with the amount of crowd control they just threw at homeostasis there. And I mean, Sherlock's going to try to get a little bit of vengeance, but that is going to be the dragon handed over to Rangitoto College after what, you have to give them credit, a beautiful pick.
Yep, 13 minutes in, the Ocean Drake will be going over to Rangitoto, with tower plating going down in just 30 seconds over.
Oh no.
And looking at it overall, one tower plating for the bottom side of Melbourne.
Sherlock in a lot of trouble though, they're getting engaged upon, they are disengaging. Looks like Demonic Ascension used from Sherlock will buy the space that they need, but once again, 3 members in the bottom lane pressuring that turret. Sherlock's going to get crushed out. Yeah, LCD has the damage coming in there with the press the attack procs, and that is going to be all she wrote for the bottom lane. Band running for his life. He's not going to make it though. Death from below, not even allowed. And Stasis, the next challenger has approached, and he will grab one. He will grab two. The star of Melbourne High School trying to fight off how he can. He has flash. He will flash. He uses the Urchin Strike to get on top. Playful Trickster for a bit more damage. Flash from Lord. He's trying to outplay this, but I don't think he has the damage. He'll leap over the wall. Present, no!
Oh my goodness!
DOT coming out from Stasis.
So, Stasis is definitely popping up and is the shining beacon of hope. There is still potential here for Melbourne to pull it off with the follow-up from Stasis and potentially Bans, if he is able to get the ultimate off. If Bans can follow up on Stasis when he gets the damage that he deals with a Pike ultimate, because all he needs is to have them be low enough health.
Side, Scorpy, can he get out alive? Homeostasis in the back pocket as well. Can he use it to get out? One more hit, no!
Oh, he
got alive! Sherlock in the middle lane getting engaged on. He's not getting out of this one. Yes, he is. I lie. Slide coming in. No, he sinks his fangs in deep, and the repel to get out in one piece. Pike arrives, not able to grab the damage that he is gunning for. Stasis probably 1-2 hits away with the press the attack procking onto him, but LCD arriving in mid, forcing Stasis back, and yet another turret falling in favor of Rangitoto College.
Galpy getting out on the hair of his chinny chin while the fight happens there in mid lane. I was talking about...
Chat wants revenge! Chat will get it perhaps as the Elise goes down the water spout, never coming out again, as Vision of the Empire will grab himself that kill. Lemonlord getting run down as well. Melbourne High School may be grasping at straws, but they are finding openings, and that's all that they need.
An overextension from... What even happened there? Overextension from Rangito, and they definitely take advantage of it on the side of Melbourne. I was about to say that the potential there is with the follow-up on top of Stasis from the rest of his team, and that is exactly what just happened. Rangito overextended, Stasis took advantage, and people followed him. And that is going to potentially be the breath of life that gets back into Melbourne and could keep them alive in this game, as we do have teleports coming in from Diamond and Galpy to catch people out.
Yeah, Sherlock's going to go down here. Demonic Ascension will buy time, but will not do any more than that. But Melbourne High School, all things considering, they only lost 1 or 2 members and grabbed a turret for it and multiple kills. that is a worthwhile trade if you're in Melbourne High School's position. Yes, you're 6,000 gold down. Yes, this game is not exactly gone the way that you planned, but all in all, whatever you can grab, you need to make worthwhile. As most members are putting together their first items on the side of Melbourne High School. You know, Adaptive Helm, Proto Belt, Warrior Enchantment, Rod of Ages finally being completed for Rangitoto. 1.5 to 2 items across all their members.
Of course, it is a 6k gold difference with 2 towers, and Bands is still going aggressive.
Kicking it off. Can they get the execution? Lemon Lord is low. Death from below will not connect. He doesn't land it. As Lemon Lord dodged his way out of that one at the last possible second, I think, as Guppy and the rest of the team will be forced to back away. Bonepike will land onto a priority member. Landing the ball. Guppy's got it as well, but no! Lazarus Bite being dropped might save a little bit of time as BN trying to get into the backline will not be enough. Gets taken out as well. And Melbourne High School, despite being down 6,000 gold, find the team fight and win it!
That 6,000 gold lead has now dropped to about 2.4 thousand. And it is definitely looking more in favor of Melbourne now. They were braced through the storm that was the early game, and now they are just outright winning in these team fights with stasis, with the Lamb's Respite from Homeostasis, able to keep people alive long enough to deal damage despite being behind their counterparts.
It's almost ironic in a way that A, Melbourne High School are winning the fights, and B, it's Ort's Diamond. He's diving into the backline with their Hex Deck Ultimate, and then Homeostasis is like, alright, cool, you're not allowed to do damage anymore. I'm using my Lamb's Respite, bro. Yeah. And he's just like, oh, this sucks. I can't do anything. You
know what would make Melbourne win the team fights any better, though? If Bands was able to land a single Pike Ultimate.
Okay.
They can win the fights tenfold.
Well, they will not be winning the Dragon War, as the second dragon in this game will fall Mountain and Ocean now in favor of Rangitoto College. They've still got the lead, 3,000-ish gold in their favor, but you have to feel like in their point of view, they may be getting a little bit nervous. That's 2 team fights now that haven't exactly gone their way, despite such a momentum lead in the first one, and a 6,000 gold lead is still quite significant when you think about it. So Melbourne High School doing grasping at straws, perhaps, but you can't say that they're not getting their hands on a couple of them.
Absolutely, and Sherlock on the Swain. Swain is now a scaling champion, like Veigar, like Scion, like Nasus. He will eventually get to a point where, like at some time in the game, he will reach a point where he is just unstoppable. And at the moment, he currently has, I believe it is 29 stacks. So I believe that correlates to... He gets 5 health per stack. There is a bit of a scuffle happening in the top side.
Getting engaged on, should be able to get out alive thanks to that Realm Warp, and Bands forced to back away for now. The BN might be a potential target as Homeostasis has arrived. Lemon Lord is nearby. The one member who is not here is Diamond on the bottom lane. He is split pushing, and only really Sherlock has a teleport, which means they need to send the Swain back, which is a huge part of their pick potential. So Diamond is recalling, so no one's actually going to be too aggressive right now. Everyone starting to back away.
Yep, chat did back away and will more than likely start to head towards that bottom side as his teleport is coming off of cooldown. I believe it is only 60 seconds off, so they still can pressure for Baron as long as they can keep the Vision Wall going. And going back onto the Swain, he is currently now on 29 stacks, which does correlate to about 145 bonus health. Not too much in actual sense, but it is still health that helps you from dying as quickly.
So Stasis is in trouble. He's going to get run down here as LCD grabs himself his kill. Ban's trying to do what he can, but they're going to get run down. They're outnumbered. There is no world where Melbourne High School win this skirmish. Outnumbered, outgunned. It's like bringing... it's so unfortunate. They're bringing sticks to like a knife fight at this point because it's just not the tool for the job itself. But now Baron is being started up. Stasis is around. He has the Lamb's Respite, so there's some multiple outplay shenanigans coming up. But gets CC'd, isn't allowed in the pit. The Lamb's Respite will buy time, but nothing else as he gets crushed out. And Melbourne High School will get wiped from the face of the earth. Sherlock, the last man standing for now, but unfortunately, he will not last the tail of time.
Yeah, an unfortunate set of circumstances that happened there for the side of Melbourne. They were just in the wrong place, wrong time with Stasis and Bands in that top side, trying to pick a fight with LCD and I believe it was Galpy. They just weren't in a good position and they got caught out and then they weren't able to pressure the Baron. They lost it. They even tried to fight it while at a disadvantage and now they are getting severely punished for it and they are getting put behind yet again with the goal lead extending even further than it was before.
And grabbing themselves the middle lane. We are seeing a weird skirmish in the mid. Stasis is going to go down, but BN may fall victim, but the rest of Rangitoto are arriving. Melbourne are filtering into the fight. However, they should be able to take bits and pieces of it, but now Guppy is free hitting on the back line. The machine gun mage able to do whatever he damn well, which is pulled in over the ball. Says, thank you, Barn. I'm now coming for the rest of your team. As Melbourne are going to get run down in their own base. There is nowhere safe for them, and that fight may potentially cost them the game with only 2 members up, Ban and Homeostasis. They need to try and hold this, but I don't think they have the damage to do so.
I don't think it's going to be exactly game. There is a teleport coming in, so there is the potential for that, but people are starting to respawn now. Stasis is up, so hopefully he can stop being AFK out from under his tower and do some damage. That was a questionable event that happened there outside of their mid lane turret. Stasis just getting a lapse in judgment, a lapse in communication coming out from Melbourne. Especially after, I'm not sure if you were noticing that fight, Sherlock flashed forward to try and secure the kill onto, I believe it was BN. Even though chat was already in the midst of securing it.
Yeah, a little bit of miscommunication perhaps coming out as we're seeing Diamond getting caught out of position, but teleport forced out of Guppy will force them to back away for now. As the rest of Rangitoto College will set up around the top side of the map with their members, but they are getting collapsed on. Melbourne High School are bringing more to the party, but that is... I had to double take on that one. That is cruel, and Melbourne High School are just getting run down as there is no mercy from Rangitoto College. One misstep from Melbourne High School, and I think this is potentially their run in the meta run through done.
Yeah, that was a large amount of damage coming from Guaupi onto Homeostasis. Of course,
yeah,
this is not being the most tankiest of members, they are going to pressure the base.
They're going to go in. They are going to lose bands. One more hit. No, it doesn't go down. Stasis trying to fight off, but that is going to be all she wrote. Rangitoto College warp into the base. Melbourne High School are respawning, but I just don't think that they can salvage this position right now. So far behind, and that will be all she wrote. Rangitoto College will take yet another game of Melbourne High School.
My goodness, what a game. Like, for what it's worth, Melbourne did really well towards the middle part of that game. They were able to bring it back somewhat substantially, but then, as I said, lapse in judgment, lapse in communication. They lost focus of what was winning them the fight, which was in closed fights together.
And unfortunately for Melbourne High School, that is going to be... sorry, not for Melbourne High School. They've got one more game today. They still do have the potential to get themselves back into this series. As let's take a quick look at the other rounds. We are going to know that the other game going on was Blakehurst versus Adelaide High School. Hopefully we will get an update on the score for that one, but Rangitoto currently sitting with 5 wins under their belt. I think it's very safe to say that they will be one of our 2 teams that will be appearing at MEO later this month, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah,
actually, I think Melbourne is currently sitting on 4 wins now because their next game is their next game they won't have.
So they get themselves a free win. So
yes.
The biggest question we need to find out to see who will be advancing is, did Blakehurst win their game up against Adelaide High School? If so, that means that Melbourne High School and Blakehurst will be both sitting on 4 wins apiece. If that is the case, and then that requires, then all Blakehurst has to do is win 1 more game, and that confirms our 2 finalist teams. So hopefully we will be updated, guys. But there will be a little bit of a break between this and the next game, which will be Perth Modern School going up against Blakehurst High School for our third and final match of the day. And Aj, I think you have a bit of a personal investment in one of these two teams, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Perth Modern. I was actually there and casted the grand final for WA in person. It was a wonderful event. And my goodness, those were some back and forth games, very evenly matched, so very entertaining, and hopefully we get something similar coming out of this.
Let's see if your dreams do come true. As guys, like I said, the next game will be starting on in about 4 o'clock, so I believe give or take 20 or so minutes. So take this time, grab yourself a drink, take a walk, stretch your legs, do whatever it is you do in your spare time, and make sure to come back to us at 4 o'clock for the 7th and final round of the state playoffs with Meta, where we'll get to see who will be advancing to the MEO Grand Final. everybody, and welcome to the third and final meta game tonight. We have Perth Modern School stepping onto the lift, going up against Blakehurst, running muck for our third and final rumble of today. And must admit, so much is now riding on this game for these two teams here. So, if Blakehurst on the red side are able to win, they have to win to make it to second place. There's no if or buts on that one. And if Blakehurst win, they'll have a head-to-head. They'll have the head-to-head over Melbourne High School and will take second place. If Perth win this game, then Perth Modern School will take second place, but I think the head-to-head is in favor of Melbourne High School, so Melbourne High School will advance. So this decides who goes on into the final itself.
Yes, that is very much so the case, and of course you are again joined by me, Adge. So it is guaranteed that New Zealand is in first, but second place is still undecided. As you said, whoever wins this will be a potential contender for second. So it really is a make or break situation here. We did just hear about the loss coming from the side of Blakehurst here. Actually lost to Adelaide High, which was a surprise on all accounts, as Adelaide is now standing with only 2 wins. They were already out of the running, so a potential upset coming from Adelaide, able to get the last Yahoo in, able to, as I said, upset Blakehurst's chances of getting into the finals.
I'm still caught back. Like, Adelaide High School's won 2 games today. One of them being probably the straight up most important match for influencing the final game. Like, I'm still a little bit annoyed. Adelaide, do you remember, I think it was the 2016 Worlds where Kaboom completely disrupted the group that they were in by beating Alliance? Yeah, that's what Adelaide High School have done. They've now given, if Melbourne High School if Perth win this game, Melbourne High School make it to the finals. If Blakehurst make it, they make finals. It is do or die for second place today. And Perth are fighting for Melbourne, which feels kind of weird to say out loud, but let's see if they can do it. Pick and Ban are running through rather quickly. Pike, Aurelia, and Olaf taken away by Perth Modern School. On the other side, the Kindred and Draven have both been caught by the ban.
Yep, Perth Modern paying attention to the earlier game we had today with Blakehurst, who did utilize the Pike and the Olaf in that game to a great amount of utility, as we are going to have Draven, Kindred, and Ramus being banned away on their side. Kindred being a solo carry jungler, which Akejo definitely likes to prowess, as well as the more team fight oriented pick being the Ramus, which again is definitely there. However, playmaking, trying to get the lockdown on the Yasuo, that is more than definitely going towards playmaking. It was an exceptional pick for him in the WA Grand Final, so I'm not surprised to see him pick it up here.
The answer is going to be Volibear grabbed in, which is, I love how Volibear, right is saying, hey, we're planning on reworking this champion. It was like, lol, no, Volibear's actually decent now. We want to keep playing this champion. And they look to be hovering the Rek'Sai. It has been banned earlier today. So, hovering that champion. Volibear is unconventional, but I love it. If they lock in the Rek'Sai, Blakehurst have got something in their back. They show that they don't pick champions because they're in that mood. They pick these champions because they have a plan. I want to see what this plan is.
Yep, they will be able to get the Brawler buff from this with the Rek'Sai and the Volibear. So hopefully that does bolster their front line a little bit. As we are going to have this next 2 picks coming out from Perth Modern here. It's going to be a Nunu again, another pick, which was great for Ikejo there in the previous game, and Emperor Wang with the Ornn. Again, this lineup is pretty much par for par the exact lineup that they used in the grand final that they won.
Picking comfort, that is successful, is no slouch indeed. Ornn, Yasuo able to get the knock up, and Nunu is no slouch with that either. Blakehurst, they get their final pick before the second round of bans coming through, and want to draft something to try and bully the Ornn. It is going to be Renekton for Dio up in top.
Renekton is definitely going to be a nice bully pick into Ornn. The use of the anti-shielding for Renekton is not going to see too much usage here, although Renekton, of course, is still a nice bully champion. and could potentially make Ornn's life in the early side of top a bit unbearable. No pun intended, because Volibear would more than likely show his presence. Actually, it looks like it's going to be a Volibear. I have seen Volibear mid. I have seen it. I don't think that it's the case for this game.
It could. There are so many places. I'm scared because the only other option is Volibear support, which if I'm
It could be Renekton mid. It could be.
Oh yeah, pulling out the Doingby special from the LPL. It's like, I'll play Renekton mid, it'll be fine. As we are in the second minute bans, 80 carries falling victim to the bans once again. And it makes a lot of sense. In this case, unless it's Yasuo 80 carry, but like as you said, playmaking, Yasuo is one of his babies, so I'd be surprised if he was willing to give the reins over to Hassan.
Yeah, no, with the Ornn, and especially with the Nunu knock-up with his biggest snowball ever, it is definitely a very nice combo to have with the amount of lockdown that Nunu and Ornn offer Yasuo to be able to pretty much move around a team fight with near impunity, unless something like the Renekton or the Volibear is potentially able to lock him down. But of course that will all decide on how they perform in-game, as we are still getting the final picks coming through now. We're likely going to be able to see if it is a support Volibear or a top lane Volibear, as we see
Or a mid lane
what the
Volibear.
bot lane is. Or a mid lane Volibear. I'd say that Renekton mid is more likely than Volibear mid. Galio locked in. Again, Galio. Great.
The thing is, part of me says, well, this is going to go to friend A. He already plays it.
Yep.
But then I look at, do you really want to play Galio into Yasuo? Like, you have to lane swap. Yes, you would?
Yes, you want to play Galio into Yasuo.
I need to pick your brain on this one, because in my mind, nothing about that matchup sounds fun or enjoyable.
Increased Q damage, increased passive damage, increased E damage. You, with the right set of tools, you can potentially burst a Yasuo early before pre-6, obviously. And that could set the laning phase for you very well. We are going to have Varus and Janna locked in, so a nice safe bottom lane coming out from Perth Modern. Very sensible choice, considering most of their power looks to be coming from that top mid jungle side.
I like this bottom lane. Varus, a lot of harassment. Janna can also do a decent amount of harassment. And a very, very good at kiting, depending on whether it's Galio or Volibear in the bottom lane, because we're not exactly sure who the support is just yet. So
yeah, it
final
could be Volibear, it could be Galio.
Yeah, final lock-in is going to be that Sivir. Leave me alone. We know he can play a mean Sivir, so not too surprising to see.
Galio mid.
That look, yeah, it's going to be Galio mid. So that means yeah, it's Volibear support into Janna sounds painful when you don't have your flash available.
It does, definitely.
Oh, that scares me a little bit, not gonna lie to you. But, well, I mean, they obviously have a plan. Again, Blakehurst do not pick in just, lock me in this, whatever. Like, last game they had a very clear plan that when we saw them being, we're just gonna go mono threat and just see how that rumbles. And this game, it feels similar in that it's still a Sivir composition at the end of the day. It's, we're gonna run at you and we're gonna just crush you down, but it's a little less tanky.
It's a little what? Sorry?
It's a little less tanky. Renekton isn't a Sejuani in terms of raw tank. He likes to go a little bit of damage. Rek'Sai is as annoying as the Olaf, but I'd argue she's more about the ganking than the actual, frontlining, just because of the tunnels that you can give out. So, a little less frontline, but equally a bit more damage to boot.
But at the same time, something you have to take into consideration is the percentage health damage coming out from Ornn's passive when he's able to get the brittle proc off with both his ultimate and his W. That could potentially spell disaster for this tanky frontline coming out from the side of Blakehurst High. And in addition to that, you've got the Yasuo, who's able to get on top of the engage, coming from the Ornn, coming from the Nunu, even coming from the sort of reverb from the Janna, who is trying to stop this tanky front line from collapsing on top of Perth Modern's line.
But my concern for Blakehurst is that Perth Modern, like you said, they got the percentage health damage of the Ornn. I'm hoping Varus goes for the hyper carry lethal tempo play of the Rune King. in which that's more percentage health damage. And hell, I would argue that Yasuo could probably afford to filter a Blade of the Ruined King into his build as well.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
ideal, but you can get away with it. So,
Oh, he absolutely could get away.
so it's a matter of Blakehurst. You got a lot of frontline. Unfortunately, A, it's gonna die very quickly because the more resistance and health you build, the more Perth Modern are gonna kill you with it. And B, who is meant to start the fight for Blakehurst? And I'll preface that with the factor of Janna Monsoon exists, Janna Tornado exists. So the answer is not Volibear, unfortunately.
The answer, unfortunately, as you said, unfortunately the answer is not Volibear, but at the same time, the answer is Volibear. So, looking at the lineup coming from Blakehurst High, it's either going to be Renekton picking somebody out through minions, able to get the double dash with Slice and Dice, able to get on top of someone, or it's going to be Rek'Sai catching somebody out from coming in from the side with a tunnel, or it's going to be Galio with a Flash Taunt, not Taunt Flash, because you can't do that anymore.
Can't do that anymore.
Yep. Or it's going to be a Volibear with a Flash Engage, or potential Engage with the Sivir on the Hunt Ultimate. That is going to be how the side of Blakehurst gets on top of Perth Modern's lineup. But that's the thing. When they try and go for it, they need pretty much everyone there. Because if they're outnumbered or if they're mispositioned, I feel like Perth Modern will be able to take advantage of that and abuse that.
100% they will. It has to be the go button is pressed and everybody needs to commit regardless of what they think. And that's something you see, and this might be off topic, but this is something you see a lot in professional teams, is whoever, when the call is made, even if you don't agree with the call, you have to commit with the rest of your team. And that is something that Blakehurst are going to have to execute. But there is a slight worry that I have. And Perth Modern School, let's go through the scenario. So the Sivir Ultimate has been procced. Everyone is charging forwards. The Volibear is on all fours going forwards. Let's say they get the Flash Engage. Janna has Tornado. That means someone, at the very minimum, is not joining the fight initially. Maybe 2 people. Yep. Then you pair that up with the Monsoon, which means whoever's flashed is more than likely being thrown into the backline by themselves, which means they're dead.
Which is why I'm saying it's imperative for Galio to taunt Conlan.
Oh yeah, Conlan. If Conlan gets a Monsoon out, the team fight's over, because that's a team fight reset, and then absolute zero from Nunu. You're not getting past that. Call the Forge God from Ornn. You're getting knocked up and you're getting delayed as well. There is so much counter-engage from Perth Modern School that if they don't delete either Emperor Wang's Ornn or Conlan's Janna, the team fight is going to go so badly for them, but it's the only team fight they can force.
Yeah, and as we are getting in, we are going to see pings coming up from Perth Modern's side, looking to really ward off on the red side to stop any kind of early engagement, as they do have a Volibear who could start Q and look for some kind of early pressure. But I'm not too sure if it's going to happen. More than likely just going to be some kind of counter-offensive coming out here from the side of Blakehurst as they try and hold their front line.
And we're seeing... I think this is more a counter than an actual going in themselves, because if you look at the level 1, there shouldn't be a world where Blakehurst, A, starts a level 1 fight because, Janna exists, and B, is able to really get any kills because, hey, Janna exists. So, they won't be able to get a whole lot out of that one. The line of Perth Modern just doing a standard line of scrimmage as we would expect out of their team composition, because they scale brilliantly. Mm-hmm. And while I'm sure there's at least 3 or 4 people thinking, oh, they're running a full AD composition. I'll finish what I'm saying. They're running a full AD composition. What about the tanks? Percentage health damage can help nullify the fact you're running a full AD composition. And Blakehurst, they're being cheeky. I want to see Perth Modern punish them for the cheekiness, because they're on a ward, I think.
Oh yeah, they are on the top of a ward in that tri-bush. So Hasten and Conlan are not falling for this ruse.
I don't think it's a ruse, though. It's a trap. Because Cage is coming in with a snowball. Oh, no!
Oh,
it's a bait! You've been pulled in! The snowball's going to catch Dog. He has to flash. He gets the fear. Not flashing, in fact.
No summoners. No summoners.
Oh, I wanted so much more out of that.
That was a bit of a tease and a half, unfortunately. Slog Dog able to hold his own, keep his cool, not flash away from the snowball, and he is volley best, so he has his passive, so he can retain some health after getting some poke in lane. He actually started E over Q, which is surprising.
Oh, the Q coming in, they get the engagement heads and flash coming out. There is no heal available! They ran teleport! They're running teleport into a kill lane!
My goodness, Slugdog with that momentum, able to, like, as I said, holding onto the flash and then utilizing it to just catch Hasten off guard so easily at that level 1 with the level 2 power spike. My goodness, what a play.
And Hanson, they're not running combat summoners in their lane. They're running the teleport for what should be pressure, but you can't pressure the lane when you're dead like that. Emperor Wang's receiving a little bit of love from unique pathing from Knight. Isn't going to die, but my god, that's going to force a recall.
Yep, more than definitely going to force the recall and the teleport out of Emperor Wang. Meanwhile, Akejo is topside. No vision in the jungle deployed by Knight. So they do probably have an idea that he's topside, but they don't know exactly where he is. And this could potentially be bad for Knight, who is below half health right now.
Knight will be forced to back away. He is getting caught up with the Nunu, and this will result in him, as you said, backing away. He doesn't even have his blue buff, actually, which means that they will know that he will end up on the bottom side of the map. So Perf can track that Rek'Sai and try prevent any more cheeky shenanigans ganks coming out, because that was from, like, behind his own turret. That's the power of Rek'Sai. The ganks come from literally the one place you're not expecting.
Yeah, similar to Kane in that manner, ganks coming from the wall itself. Meanwhile, Akejo coming in, doing a bit of a drive-by in mid with the biggest snowball ever. Not able to connect. Something I wanted to touch on was Friend A's rotation into that topside river was very nicely done. He had priority in lane and was definitely going to be able to get there before playmaking, but obviously nothing happened because Knight had already backed away. Akejo is going to be able to secure another scuttle for himself. Get a little bit of chump damage.
That's heartbreaking for Knight. He got double scuttled. He's now going to be down in tempo, down in level experience, and he's going to have to make that up somehow. He does, of course, have his big buff, which should let him get close to his level 4, but I think now Knight needs to start looking at some more ganks. We already saw he was able to get a very successful one on the top side of the map, so hopefully he can look either bot or top to, get another play, because playmaking, I don't think the Yasuo's the best to gank as a Rek'Sai, even with the crowd control that Galio brings, just because it's very telegraphed when you're going in.
Yeah, and as we can see in this bot side matchup, Leave Me Alone is really utilizing the slight advantage that they have with that early kill that they were able to get with Slugdog, as he's opted to go for a cull to really emphasize the CS lead that he could potentially be looking to get here, or at least using it so that he can, even if he does go even in CS with Hasten, he's still getting a gold advantage because he has the cull, which provides that bonus gold increase. We are going to have a slight pause here. Unsure of what the issue is currently. I believe playmaking
It is playmaking. Unfortunately, his net is having a few issues. Welcome to Oceania. So here we'll reset that and hopefully be good to go. But on top of that point you're just saying, the Sivir, not only is she, Sivir, so she'll clear the waves and build herself a senior lead, she's also got a cull and an assist. So that is going to be... Oh god, I can't do maths. I try to avoid doing maths on the stream, but I think that's about 500-600 gold advantage, assuming nothing else happens in that bottom lane. Unfortunately, that is a very unrealistic assumption, because look who's decided to give bot lane a little bit of a visit.
Yep, we can see Knight hovering in that bush, and the control ward is in the front brush for the side there of Blakehurst, so they are currently unaware of Knight's presence. However, they will need to push the wave up for him to be able to get into that second brush, which is unwarded, obviously, because we can see the control ward. But even then, Knight's level 4, he should be farming. He's got his Krugs and his Raptors and his Wolves up, and he's already behind. As we said, he got double scuttled. He is already behind Akejo, and he needs to continue farming. He's not going to be able to get anything from this unless they go for the tower dive, which will be incredibly risky.
I think they can push the wave in, but they have, as you said, they have to make this worthwhile. Otherwise, this gank needs to result in Hassan dying and Kolan burning his flash at the very minimum. If not, it's been a wasted time, because Well, it's for every reason we've already previously stated. The Nunu's starting to get an advantage. Rek'Sai's scale's okay, but she's not amazing. So, they need to make this gank worthwhile. Finally, the aggressive volley bear growling is no longer going across. That is like the second most off-putting thing I've ever had to deal with in a pause. The first being Nautilus laughing at me for a 10-minute pause a couple days ago, which was just the most disorientating thing in the world. But the waves we've pushed in, the gank is
just sitting there. Go farm. Don't sit there. You're not getting anything. You're not benefiting your team by sitting in the bottom brush.
They have to get kills here.
Krugs.
They have to secure kills in this scenario. The issue is that the volley bear's pushed up. There's no flash on the volley. He's charging and finally makes a flash going on. They need to kill Colin Hansen, and they will! They get the flash out of Colin as well. That is exactly what they needed to make that gank worthwhile.
Okay, they were actually able to finally get some kind of benefit. Knight is now attempting to solo the Infernal Drake. I don't believe he has any pots, so it will be incredibly difficult. Yeah, he's definitely going to need some support here. He's not going to be able to solo this unless he smites incredibly early. Even then, it'll be very difficult.
Yeah, Slugdog's rocked up. He'll give a little bit of love to his jungler. And we do get to see Friend A rotating down and Leave Me Alone rotating up. So that will result in the Infernal Dragon being happily donated to Blakehurst to try get themselves their early lead. 1,000 gold, dragons, and 2 kills to boot in their favor.
Yep, and as we can see in the top lane matchup, Emperor Wang still able to stay relatively even with Dio in the top side there. Ornn, of course, definitely going to pay out more than Renekton with the item advantages he can give the rest of his team if they are able to hold on for that long to actually reap the benefits of that. Now, something that I'd like to touch on is during those grand final games for Perth Modern, it wasn't playmaking, and it wasn't Emperor Wang, or it wasn't even Hasten who were doing the carrying. It was Ikejo, and here he comes into the mid lane.
Into the middle lane, 2v2 now, playmaking. Can he get the CC down? He's already, of course, used that final ultimate, but the Nunu is holding the front line, does so much damage from Ikejo. A disengage, but the flash was burnt from Friend A as a result of the shenanigans. Hassan. Oh, what more able to do it? No! He misses the hail of arrows because of the step back coming out of the
He step back from the dash on Galio, saves his life. My goodness, what a play. What a counter to Hasten's play, which is the flash forward with the E. But yes, touching on that yet again, very, back and forth they're happening in the mid lane. Ikejo, he was the one doing most of the work because of his pressure, because of his objective control. Slugdog is just abusing Hasten at this point.
Hassan is getting crushed down here. That's super unfortunate.
Leave Me Alone gets some mana from the biggest snowball ever, and they're just going to continue pressuring this lane. Ikejo needs to help them.
This bottom lane is just really rough right now. 0 and 3 on what was meant to be your hyper carry. Varus in, again, what was supposed to be your safe lane is coming up to the 8:30 mark right now. It's just not the position that the Perth Modern School bottom lane was gunning to be in. This volley bear, it was first locked in, but I feel like it's thrown them for a bit of a loop.
Yep, and an important thing to note, which is just really spelling how this lane is currently going. Slugdog, flash and ignite up. Hasten, flash down. They didn't even have to use their own summoners to burn theirs. And now they have a summoner's advantage that they're just going to use and abuse to pressure the bottom lane for Perth Modern even more.
There is no mercy coming out of Blakehurst, and rightfully so. They win this game, they'll make it to MEO. We will be seeing them in Melbourne later this month, fighting for their right to rule. So there is going to be no punches pulled in this game. Perth Modern, as we said, fighting for, ironically, Melbourne High School's chance to appear in there. And I feel like if you're on the side of Melbourne High School so far, you're looking at Slugdog being like, oh god, no, not again on the bottom side. The Monsoon will not buy the space required as Colin is going to get run down as well. Leave Me Alone, flashing just to prove a point.
Yep, absolutely. I'm trying to think of something to say here that isn't, well, mean, But you'd think at some point the bottom lane duo for Perth Modern would realize we need help. We are in a bad situation here, and we can't just keep approaching it like we would normally. 0-4 on the 80 carry Varus. He is not going to be able to do laning phase or anything at this current rate as he would normally. He needs to either farm heavily for like 10-15 minutes solid to recover the loss, or he needs to be there to get.
Oh my lord, Dio!
And that's a solo kill for Emperor Wang in topside. So I mean,
That
good
was
on him.
so much damage coming
Yep.
out there, and they might get turned around. Friend A arrived, but he might be able to get alive just because Kojiro is the one trying to press the issue. But Ornn, without any mana, not really feeling confident in that hunt.
That's that percentage health damage coming out from the Ornn, able to just dice through Dio on the Renekton, who, as we mentioned prior, not that tanky of a champion, so if he's able to get out damaged, he's definitely going to be able to feel it. And Ornn is one of those champions who can take damage, but also deal it with the crowd control, with the AoE coming from his Sunfire, which he has now fully completed, and with the percentage health damage on his W and ultimate with the Brittles bonus.
Top lane going in favor of Perth Modern School with all those damages to boot. Unfortunately, the bottom side not going in their favor, and the middle lane's been surprisingly passive, considering it's a Yasuo who's in the lane. In my experience, is the Yasuo is either 11-1 or 1-11 at 11 minutes into the game, but Perth Modern School's play making so far going even, but he will be forced to join the rest of the skirmishes as Siva has made her way to the middle lane, decides, okay, we push down bottom lane, gonna rotate around. Friend A delegated to bottom lane duty, and the Siva now delegated to the mid-wave clear game.
Yep, pings coming out, looks like side. Looks like Rek'Sai is going to move towards the Rift Herald as
Playmaking.
no
So be
pressure
careful, there's
coming
a
from it.
reinforcement
Keijo
coming in.
though.
They're going all in on there, but there's going to be a 3-man, no 2-man. Heroic Angels followed up by top, and a beautiful Monsoon will buy a little bit of space. Kojiro is so damn tanky, he doesn't die. Oh no, he does. Nightsus, get out of here, boy. You're not getting away from me. Takes him down. He'll grab at least one more on the back end of the fight. He has reinforcements, playmaking, pulled in, CC'd up, taken down. They don't even get a turnaround kill. Knight gets out alive. Dio trying to force the issue. Unfortunately, not going to make it as the Ornn is angry. One hit will do it. The breath burns him down.
My goodness, what an unfortunate, what I keep saying unfortunate, and that is just it, because they would, the tower dive coming from Knight with the, I believe it is Void Rush, on top of the Keijo, able to finish him off and then get the kill on top of Combat.
What?
Meanwhile, Friend A is just going to clean up in topside.
That is a bloodbath happening right there as top lane's fun. Top lane's having some fun up there. Renekton, like, oh, I'm picking the early game lane bully. I'm going to dominate this lane. It's going to go super, super well for me. And then Emperor Wang's up there with his arms like, hey, you think you're the lane bully, huh? No. I am the lane bully here, boy. And doing a brilliant job on this one. 3-1. It's a little unfortunate, however, the same cannot be said for the hyper carry of the Varus.
Yep, Varus is definitely incredibly behind and will take a decent amount of time to be able to become relevant again. Meanwhile, we do have the side of Blakehurst looking to get that Rift held, while Keijo was able to secure the Cloud Drake, so a bit of compensation for the side of Perth Modern, but nothing in comparison to the potential towers that could be had with the Rift held now getting picked up by Slogdog.
A bit interesting that Slogdog is the man.
Well, he's using it right now.
Oh, no, they're jumping it straight away. Okay, I was about to say, they're holding on to that. That seems like a bit of a weird pick up, but they will grab themselves that. Tower plating has just fallen, but it's going to do a lot of damage. Chains of Corruption was actually dropped, but nothing too much is going to come of it. On the hunt used by the Siva will buy plenty of space, and Blakehurst will grab themselves one turret. Perth, on the bright side, stop the second charge.
They were able to stop any kind of increased damage coming in onto that second turret, and they are looking to potentially look for a fight here. Emperor Wang right into the wall!
Oh, he's like, wait, no, I want to do that again! He's gonna get out alive as well. Playmaking on the front line. The General Tornado not landing on any targets. Everyone is backing away on the side of Blakehurst. They should get out without too many issues, but Call the Forge God coming out does not connect onto any target, and Blakehurst able to kite away from Perth Modern School's engage attempt.
Emperor Wang, I like the gumption. Just gotta make sure your hitboxes are correct and don't go straight into the wall next to you. If that had a
in
connection...
comms that Emperor Wang was like, "I got him, boys!" and then instantly hits the wall, and it's like silent for 3 or 4 seconds in comms. And you're like,
if they were able to connect, that could have been Knight getting caught out here, which could have been very nice for Perth Modern. So it was a good initiation there. They just weren't able to collapse on top of it quick enough.
It was the right attempt. Like, it was the right move to make. Unfortunate, the execution was not in favor of Blakehurst, but they will do a good job of punishing and grab themselves the last outer tier turret.
Yep, last outer tier turret going down on the side of Blakehurst there. Or sorry, for the side of Blakehurst. As they are going to look to clear out Perth Modern's blue side here, to sort of deny Ikejo any additional assets from within his own jungle. Just kind of like trying to suck the life, force them to farm with the minion waves, limiting the overall amount of income that their team can get.
And in limiting that income, we do want to take a look at the gold values this game. And I think the bottom lane, gold value speaks for itself. Basically double. Give or take 300 gold, which is, it's unsurprising given how far ahead Leave Me Alone is with the Sivir. But it's disgusting to look at nonetheless, because that is a terrifying Sivir who is close to completing her Infinity Edge pre-20 minutes.
Meanwhile, we've got Hasten just trying to get what he can by pushing ever so slightly out in that bottom side, taking what CS he can. He's, a good 60-odd CS or so behind the Sivir, and it's going to be it's still going to be a good amount of time before he's able to do anything of worth for his team. Unless, of course, they are able to get that perfect advantage fight where he is there to be able to benefit from assists or even kills just by last hitting them. That is the only foreseeable way I see Hasten being able to get back into this game.
Oh, his team should do that setup, because once Varus gets to the later game, he is able to pull his weight. But they have to get themselves there. Emperor Wang, they're engaging on him, but he's also pretty damn tanky, and it may actually end up being a bait as Call of Forge God coming out. This is CC. Meanwhile, Hasten is by himself against Knight. However, the chance of corruption is more than enough to buy the time that he needs, and he is on the front line, getting C set up, forced to flash out, he loses most of that part to a combo. The rest of the team is filtering heroic entrance, lands on many members, and this could be the fight for Blakehurst. It looks like it will be. A lot of CC though coming out. Is it going to be enough? Perth might have just done it. They have so much CC. Hassan is still alive. He's doing the cleanup duty on the Varus. One arrow will do it, surely to God. Dio gets on top of him instead, trying to run for his life. He will eventually die, but Perth Modern School somehow, some way, turned what looked like a disaster of a fight into an advantage.
Yep, with the team fight wombo combo, with the Ornn crowd control health damage, just in that intensely close quarters environment, on top of the Nunu with the ultimate, able to get off so much damage. And then, of course, the Yasuo fighting in an enclosed space where he's able to get those EQ dashes, hitting everyone in the same small space. That is the kind of fight that Perth Modern want to go for. Of course, Hasten was a bit hesitant outside there on the fight, could have been a bit more helpful while the rest of the team on Blakehurst were preoccupied with the rest of their team. He was however, able to come in and get a good amount of kills and assists onto the rest of them, and that is exactly what Perth Modern needed, and they can use to scale into the rest of the game.
Giving themselves those kills there, now down about 5,000 gold, 4,000, but all things considering, better position than what they were in earlier in this game. As I look down the items, Ikojo on that new has grabbed himself the Knight's Vow, so I want to see who he's going to partner that up with to keep safe, as the dragon is picked up by Leave Me Alone. So they are going for a fight. They've caught out Slog. They'll crush him out. That's a good pick off, but there's Helmut coming into the back line. That feels very risky, and I think Blakehurst might just be forced to disengage.
You see the change in confidence coming from Hasten. before, he went from being the timid backline carry, not really wanting to commit to the fight, until now, where he's got the chains of corruption, he's on the front line, he's casting it down on Slogdog, able to secure the kill. That is exactly the kind of confidence that Perth Modern need from their AD carry right now.
And it's for that, not just the AD carry, but the whole team is feeling confident after that fight. And I mean, hell, can you even blame them? They made a hell of a fight that looked like a disaster at the start of work in their favor. And Perth Modern School, like I said, 5,000 gold behind 2 Dragons to 1 against their favor. But only 3 kills against them. So the gold is finally starting to stabilize in their favor. So not in their favor, but like it's all starting to stabilize. They're not going to lose too much gold really rapidly unless it's going to be from getting caught out of position or going to be from an objective take like a dragon or the Baron that is spawned up and ready to rumble.
Yeah, vision control currently a bit lackluster, more so focused towards the side of Perth Modern's jungle as they are trying to get a bit of vision control down on the side of Blakehurst around the Baron as it's coming up. Still haven't cleared out the control ward in the Baron pit yet as they are getting on that right now. But there's still a decent amount of vision for Perth Modern itself within their own jungle with the control ward on their blue, as well as a couple towards the bottom side of the map. Big wave connecting onto the tower really shows that they want to try and be here to commit to the Baron fight if it happens. As we do have Emperor Wang moving to the bottom side with teleport available, he will be able to get into the fight if it does begin. And that might just be right now.
Potential skirmish coming out. Teleport is being channeled now. Heroic Engines needs to land, but they are disengaging. Handsome coming over the wall. He's gone on top of Leave Me Alone. The Sim is dead. That is a huge portion of the damage coming down. Yasuo needs to do this. Playmaking is not going down. He's still alive and ready to rumble. The Rek'Sai trying to execute him, and he will. But the tanks are left alive, but unfortunately the tank war is going in favor of Blakehurst. The one man standing, the strongest member on Perth Modern School, takes so little damage, but they might eventually burn him down. That final part of the fight took longer than the fight itself. He's so damn tanky.
Absolutely, and I think the one thing that made sure that that fight went for Blakehurst's side was Emperor Wang did not actually was able to connect the second part of the ultimate, and on top of that, Conlan just went down instantly. Was not there for the fight to be able to get good shielding down or good crowd control tornadoes for playmaking. He was forced to use his own tornado, which wasn't the best hitting the tanks. It does offer some armor pen, but as of right now, playmaking isn't in a great state to deal a lot of damage on his own. He needs people like Emperor Wang and like Akejo to be there on the front line with him to help shred through those tanks, especially on with that percentage health damage to get through that front line and then get onto the back line. Of course, speaking of the back line, we saw Haitian just absolutely rinse Leave Me Alone one-on-one with the Chains of Corruption, able to just take him out before he even got into the fight. So if Haitian can continue scaling like that, it is definitely going to look in Perth Modern's favor.
And Leave Me Alone's wretched. He bought a QSS. He hasn't even completed his zeal. He's like, I need a QSS to deal with this Varus, bro. Like,
oh yeah,
I wasn't allowed to play the game last fight because, yeah, as you said, got caught by Chains of Corruption, and that basically made the fight a 4 versus 5. Chains of Corruption now coming out again. They are going for the fight. Renekton's not going to be here. This is going to be a pick-off, and Slog's going to fall. That is such decisive... That is, like, decision-making as all hell coming out of Perth Modern. They don't give a damn if they're behind. They are going for the fight. They're going for Dio. Dio will fall down. Hassan will join as well. But Leave Me Alone is left untouched on the backline. And playmaking, the last Bastion. He needs to get the damage. He needs to kill the Sivir like now. The Sivir's alive though. One hit will do it. Finally take him out. This could be the fight for Perth Modern. 3 versus 2. Emperor Wang holding the front line, but the Rek'Sai is doing its job to cause him issues. Playmaking though, in over the wall here has arrived. The CC down, not able to trade, making a 1-for-1 trade. At the end of the day, a 5-4-3, and the fight took so damn long. Slogdog is alive again.
And they can look to try and take the Baron. It is Nunu and Yasuo with the wind wall able to block the damage coming from Baron, as well as Nunu with the consume able to heal the damage coming from Baron. Teleport coming out from Hasten. Definitely going to be able to do the Baron. Now, Slogdog, though, on his own, not sure if he's going to be able to do anything. Chains of Corruption coming off from Hasten.
Yeah, he's going to try. If we know Slogdog, no, he's backing away. They're giving up the Baron at Perth Modern School. able to grab themselves a hell of a team fight through a close victory. And the Baron on top of that, pulling the gold from 6 to 4,000 gold in the favor of Blakehurst High School.
Ikejo and Emperor Wang are currently carrying Hasten and Playmaking and Conline, of course, all on their shoulders. Like, they are the ones who are making sure the team fights go their way. Hasten may be the one pushing forward and, sending out the chains to lock down someone, but it's those two who are backing them up that empowers them.
People who are starting the fight are the bravest. Those who have this... I forget the Thanos quote, but they'll grab themselves the dragon. Friend is not where he was, but he gets caught by the chains of corruption. He's taking a blast point to his death. That's another pick-off. This can't be happening, Blakehurst. They're making mistake after mistake and getting caught out of position.
Are they making mistake, or is Hasten just finding the initiative where it needs to be? Commits, just sends it out, sends out the ultimate into the blind brush. He did it in that mid lane brush onto the volley bet. He did it then onto the brush with the Galio, and then the team just says go. Emperor Wang uses Call of the Forge God to follow it up on it, and they just commit to getting that pick, and it works.
Whatever it is, the thing you have to give credit for Perth Modern School, despite being down in tempo, despite being down in gold, there has yet to be a single time when Hassan is leading the charge with that Chains of Corruption. There has not been once where Emperor Wang has not used Call of the Forge God. The second is connect onto a single member with the chains. He's like, all right, we're going all in, boys. The trust that Perth Modern School have in whoever is making their shot calls, or whether it's Hassan's decision ability to land the Chains of Corruption, whatever it is, whoever is saying, okay, we go, you have to give credit for not caring that they were 6,000 gold behind, and because of it, they've clawed it back to 3,000 with a Baron buff still burning in their back pocket.
Absolutely, the team synergy for Perth Modern is really showing. Biggest snowball ever will hit the tower, but nobody else, as they are more or less just trying to siege the outer turret with the empowered cannon minion, just slowly letting it whittle away the health on that tower to just try and open up the map. They've actually taken 0 towers on the side of Perth Modern, so they need to start taking some, and when they do, their gold advantage will slowly start to decrease on the side of Blakehurst.
This is going to be a dive. I was going to say, Renekton's split pushing, he has teleport, but my concern in this game is, yeah, you have the threat of the teleport. I don't think the Perth Modern School are going to give you the time to teleport in. We are seeing Emperor Wang backing away now, and this is where Blakehurst say, okay, we can't let them recall, try to give Renekton as much room as humanly possible, but...
Yeah, they're just looking to catch him out here. Dio is on his own.
The Renekton, yeah, Renekton's the target. He's going to try to leap in over the wall, but Dominant's starting off. Hero is coming into the back line. Hassan is in so much trouble. Flashes back, Chains of Corruption. They're locking them down in the choke point. This could be a disaster for Blakehurst. They're filtering in just to go down. Perth Modern School, time and time again. Fight the impossible fight. Find the openings, find the picks, find the kills, and claw back to a 2,000, not even gold deficit. How are they doing this?
With team fighting, composition, and teamwork. That is how they are doing it. You had the mistake of the heroic entrance coming in from friend A on top of the Renekton, an already dead target. And on top of that, they were able to get the double Yasuo ult knock-up with the Emperor Wang Call of the Forge God. On top of both of them, with the percentage health damage, with the percentage armor penetration coming out from the Yasuo last breath, those two frontline tanks were able to do nothing against that. And before the rest of the team could even follow up, they were already dead.
Oh, that last... I just want a slow motion replay of that last fight. The fact that it was such a good filter in from Blakehurst, but then they didn't get their targets, and then Hans like, alright, cool, got Chains of Corruption. Emperor Wang, you've got Call of the Forge God. Ikojo with the absolute 0 bought all the space in the world, and just Blakehurst, they filtered in, and they realized far too late they couldn't get what they wanted, and at that point, there's no running away. So, Perth Modern, I'm still in absolute awe that they've managed to claw their way back from what was an early game 6,000 gold deficit to be even at nearly 30 minutes in this game.
Absolutely.
God.
And I think the main issue for Blakehurst right now is thinking that they still can fight Perth Modern. They can't. They need to try and get some kind of split push advantage. Dio pushing in that top side while the rest of the Perth Modern were mid was a good call. It brought them back. But Dio, he instead, they either should have had Dio be a sacrificial lamb and just die, or he could have teleported out, used his teleport, but still have gotten out without any kind of cost. And with that, they could have tried to get some kind of advantage where Perth Modern isn't, because that's what Perth Modern do. They are a 5v5 fighting comp.
Oh, this game is so tense to me, because not only is it, this game has been a brilliantly executed game by both sides, Perth Modern somehow finding the openings to claw back into the game, but the winner of this game decides everything.
Oh, yeah.
Blakehurst, they need to win this if they want to get to NEO. And they're looking for over. They found Hansen. They're deleting the AD carry before the fight even started. This could be the a multi-man last breath. Is that going to be enough in play? Making the Yasuo goes down. There might not be the damage for Perth Modern anymore. They got caught out of position. After fighting so many perfect fights, Blakehurst pulled the trigger and find the opening.
Yes, they are finally able to get the pick onto Hasten, the backline carry. Slogdog pulls the trigger with the flash. Righteous Glory engage, flip, toss, and tumble. See you later, Hasten. And that could very well be the game at this point.
They're setting up.
The only one up.
They're setting up for it. One Nexus turret will go. Kodro trying to buy what space again. He's tanky, but can he buy the space? He's going to go down. There is no one on Perth Modern School to defend, and Blakehurst are able to secure their way to the MEO Grand Final down here in Melbourne later this month.
My goodness, what a game. Both sides showing a phenomenal amount of effort and synergy with the rest of their team. The early pressure coming out from the bot side of Slogdog and Leave Me Alone, able to propel their bottom lane ahead. But then, again, the vitality and the conservation from the side of Perth Modern. They were able to hold out, and they were able to get they were able to go from a 9k deficit to even at 30 minutes, as you said. And then, of course, Slogdog, finally, they make the decision. We're not going to get picked anymore. We are going to make the pick. And that is exactly what they do. They get right on top of Hasten, who steps a bit too close to that mid lane brush. And Slogdog, as I said, flips it and dips him back into the rest of the team. He goes down. There goes the damage for the side of Perth Modern. And that closed out the game. That was game, set, and match as soon as they killed Hasten.
Oh, and then that last fight as well, Emperor Rang got a multi-man hit up, and there was a 3 to 4 man last breath out of playmaking, but the issue is that the second the Yasuo fell, there wasn't enough damage. There's not enough damage coming out of Kodro, Emperor Rang, and Kolan to carry the fight once they lost Hasten at the very start of it, and once playmaking eventually fell. But I think for a final game of the day, Aj, that was one hell of a game to go out on Perth Modern.
Oh, absolutely.
They put up one of the best fights I've seen in my 3 years as a caster. That was one of the best fights I've ever seen in my life.
And that is exactly the kind of experience that I got from the WA games. Perth Modern, the amount of effort that they can bring in, yes, they can be a bit lackluster of time, as we saw with the early game, but they can bring it back and they can make that game, they can fight tooth and nail for it, and that is exactly what they did. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough for the upset for them to cause, and we do have Blakehurst getting into that tie with Melbourne now for second place.
And with that, if I'm not mistaken, for tiebreakers, it is using a head-to-head system. So since Blakehurst has the head-to-head over Melbourne High School, that is going to be that, unfortunately. So our standings for the end of today and the end of the meta round is going to be Rangitoto from New Zealand takes the first place undisputed with 6 wins under their belt. Second place drawn is going to be Melbourne High School and Blakehurst High School. However, as stated before, because these two teams are drawing, there is the tiebreaker, and because I keep calling him Incarnation, because Blakehurst has the advantage in the head-to-head, Blakehurst High School will be second place, while Melbourne High School will end up in the third place slating. Fourth place for today is, of course, Herv Modern School, putting up, again, as I've said, one of the best fights I have seen in a long, long time. And Adelaide High School sitting at the bottom of the ranks with 2 wins under their belt, but they did a hell of a job in the game we didn't get to see. Like, they took a team that we were expecting. Like, they made this tiebreaker so close. It was I'm still just a little bit in awe of the game we've just witnessed and how everything came together.
Absolutely. Like, the games that we had today, there were a lot of questionable picks, especially with the first few, but they paid off. There were a lot of upsets, especially with the Adelaide win, which did cause a bit of controversy with this game, meaning that it could very well just be Blakehurst getting kicked out if Perth Modern were to pull it off, but they didn't, and Blakehurst, of course, have now taken that position, and then, as you said, they will be going to MEO, and I'm very much still looking forward to watching that.
Oh, I'm so excited to see how that one goes, but unfortunately, guys, that is gonna be the end of today from our side of things, of course, because as I said, we have Rangitoto from New Zealand and Blakehurst from New South Wales advancing to the grand final. So I'm so excited to be able to see them. And if you do make your way to MEO, I'll be more than happy to see all of you guys there. I think that's it from us, unfortunately. So, on behalf of myself, my partner Aj, of course our lovely broadcaster who has not said a word across the stream because they keep themselves definitely muted, and everyone on the side of the Meta admin staff, thank you so much for joining us for this week and, of course, the last week regional state run-through. And congratulations to all participating teams. And for the final message for Blakehurst and, of course, for Rangitoto, bring your A game for MEO. It hopefully will be a hell of a match, guys. Hope to see you for the MEO Grand Final later this month.